Okay, that was Flowerboards by Kylivadrat. No idea if I'm saying that right, but that's how it's spelled, so I'm just going to say it like that. Kylivadrat. All the music from the stream is going to be from this person, and the links to all the music that we're playing is in the description of this video. Hello! Hello and welcome to the Call-In Show. This is the Call-In Show where today we're talking about homeless! Homeless! Everything about homeless. Either being, maybe you're homeless, maybe you're a homeless, maybe you were near a homeless once. We've all been near a homeless, and near a homeless. We've all got stories to share. Maybe we've got opinions about the homeless en masse. This is one of those topics where it's probably just good to start off with a pre-apology to just say I'm sorry for whatever I say or anybody else says. We're all sorry. I'm sorry for everyone. We're just going to be sharing opinions. So if we're, I don't know where this stream's going to go. Maybe we'll be callous towards the homeless. Maybe we'll be kind and caring, or the other thing. I don't care. I don't really care. I'm not going to judge anyone for sharing their opinion on homeless. But, maybe you've got an experience you want to share or some tips and tricks for the homeless. Maybe you've been a homeless, an unhoused person. You've experienced unhousedness. There's different... I guess homeless is not a good term anymore. It seems the same as unhoused. I don't really... someone else can talk to me about that. I'm not going to get into it. What I want to talk about is that I have discovered a foolproof method for feeding all of the homeless. My friend Izzy pointed me towards this deal at Sheetz. Do you know Sheetz? Are you in an area near a Sheetz? It's a gas station in I don't even know what this area of the country is called, but Ohio and Pennsylvania and that area. Is that the Rust Belt? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But Sheetz, if you have a Sheetz near you, you can pay $10 for a month. And I'm not sponsored by Sheetz at all. Just so you know. I mean, that should be obvious. Sheetz didn't contact me to say, hey, could we get a spot on the Call-In Show? But I just want people to know about this. If you pay $10, you get unlimited fries at Sheetz. You can get a small bag of fries every 2 hours at Sheetz, and Sheetz are 24/7. And a bag of fries costs $2.60, so you can make your money back the first day. And I did the math. You can buy $936 worth of fries over the course of a month. If you bought Sheetz every 2 hours and, you basically just did nothing but nap and then go to Sheetz. So that's basically infinite food. It's as infinite as it gets. You can reach your 2,000 calorie limit for the day on just fries if you go to Sheetz 8 times per day. So if you're a homeless, you just got to get together $10 and you're set for the month, dude. And I think everybody should get on this. I think the potato economy is strong enough to handle a surge here. So it's if everyone starts doing this, I think it'll all work out. You're not going to put Sheetz out of business. I mean, if you do, that'd be cool, I guess. I mean, that'd be a neat thing for the homeless to do, is bankrupt a business. But anyway, I just want to let people know this is the plan. I think you have to have a cell phone also, so that is kind of a barrier. This is not a nick in the plan. You got to have some sort of smartphone because it's like a Sheetz loyalty thing. But what if you were just what if you ran a food bank? You could just send out an email to all your food bank people. I don't know how food banks work, but just say that you had a contact list. You get everyone to pay $10 a month. If you had 10 people paying $10, you could gather all that information and then get all those fries, and you could be getting 200 bags of fries a day, and you could just hand them out to everybody, to homeless people, I mean. But also, if you're just a person who loves fries and is poor, being poor is, that's adjacent to homeless. I don't want to come across like an authority on homelessness. I've never been homeless, but I still got a lot of opinions on it. Obviously, seems like it seems like a shitty situation. Nobody's really begging to be homeless, but it's just anybody can be on the cusp of being homeless, and there's a whole spectrum of homelessness. You got like the homeless people who have a car, people who are living out of their car, and then maybe they still have a job and stuff. They're between homes. I mean, that sounds like it sucks too, but that's obviously different from having nothing and being just between a crack pipe smokes. That's a lot of the homeless around where I am now in Western Canada. A lot of crack pipes around. There's a lot of homeless that are they're. It's weird because I only see the crack pipes, but they're always working on something. They always got like a little project going on in their hands, and they're kind of like turned away from the street, but they're working on something in their lap. I usually see the crack pipes, but I never see like really like crack smoking homeless. Like they aren't like running around being crazy. They're usually like frozen in place. Like they'll be on a bicycle, but their head will be all the way down, and they'll just be completely frozen there. What is that? Is that like fentanyl? Is that heroin? I see the heroin hunch a lot. Yeah, so I don't know. We're gonna just talk about the homeless stuff today. This is the call-in show, so you can call in and talk to me about this stuff. We're going to be keeping the calls quick like we did last time. I like the under 5-minute calls. There might be one or, there might be a couple that go over that. But we're going to generally try to keep it under 5 minutes so we can get as many callers as possible. The number to call in just appeared on screen. It's 518-288-7938. And do we have our first call right here?
Kenny.
Hello, what?
Hey.
Who's this?
Oh, this is Kenny.
Oh, Kenny, what's up? We're talking about the homeless today.
Dude, minute hour. Holy crap, I got on. I'm so stoked.
Yeah, dude, you're on. What do you have to say about homeless?
I'm borderline almost homeless myself, I feel like, man. Money's real these days. And I think it's crazy that your show's about it right now. Because, it feels like it's hitting everybody right now.
Have you ever been homeless?
I have before, yeah. So I used to go to a Bible college, right? And it wasn't accredited. And right after all that ended, I wasn't really set up for life. It was just kind of like an extension of high school, but hanging out with a bunch of weird Christian kids and all that. Still love a lot of them though. It was a good experience, but I wasn't ready for life. And so I don't know, just kind of didn't have a lot of money. And a friend even let me stay at his house for a little bit. He was a friend I met through church, and I worked with his dad at the restaurant I worked at, so that we were kind of tight. But then by some weird thing, I was going to pay a couple $100 to stay in a room for a month or however long, but they kicked me out a little early, and it was just really weird. And so with whatever money I had left, I got myself a fucking car, and I was like, dude, I am going to make sure I'm taking care of myself at least that much, have a place to sleep and shit. Yeah.
But now
what about you, man?
I've never been homeless. No, I mean,
no.
I guess I don't own a place. I am sort of transient. I kind of go on people's couches a lot, but living out of a car. How long were you doing that?
About 3 months. It gets a little uncomfortable,
Yeah, dude. Where'd you shower?
And, you know what? I had some friends who let me hang on their couch here and there, I don't think you shower every single day, but you find your things, you go to I was going to college at the time, so there was a gym class I was in, I could shower at the lockers there. Things always kind of worked out. And I think that's kind of I think that's the big thing I want to say about homelessness, especially since it seems a lot of people seem to be dealing with it, is that I think like you can either look at the world in terms of like reality of like what's real and what's in front of you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like that's what people live. Like, you know, when I like was down on my luck, that's when I like saw the most compassion. You know, like of course like people like are like whatever, you know, and I've never been like homeless, but people just like look at me and act like I don't exist. Like I imagine that's like the worst.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you got nothing, you really see people, and like people have just helped me out a ton. And I don't know, like it does something to you. I'd like it's almost like it's kind of healthy to lose everything, you know, and then rebuild again. It really like does stuff to you spiritually.
So you had like a bit of a support network with your friends when you were dealing with that. You didn't
Oh yeah,
reach
a
like
little bit.
yeah, go on.
Yeah, like some of them, like of course they were like getting over like you know me being there, and even when I was like looking for a job or like a place, you know, all they physically saw was like me on the couch,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So like patience would wear pretty fast, so that's why it's good to have like a lot of people that you
Mm-hmm.
can rely on, and that you're not just like burning one person out way too much,
Yeah.
you know. But like, and you know, to like kind of accommodate that, sometimes you sleep in your car, you know.
Yeah. Well, hey man, thank you so much for calling in.
Of course, dude. Yeah, love your show. And by the way, I have one of your mugs and everything. You know,
Oh hell yeah.
hopefully put some more stuff out, man. I love your shit.
All right, hell yeah, man.
All
Thank you.
right,
Bye bye.
all right. Take care, man. Bye.
You too. Bye. All right, nice. It pays to have friends when you're entering the homeless zone. Seems like probably the people who are in the deepest depths of the homeless zone have worn out all their friends.
Call from
Sam.
Hello?
Yo. How's
Who
it
is
going?
this? What was your name?
Sam.
Sam, how's it going? We're talking homeless today.
Good, man. First caller. That was good stuff. I've never personally dealt with homelessness, but two quick stories. First one, at this time, I was actually driving in Australia with another guy that I was working with at the time. And I can't even remember what it was, but we were talking about like homelessness, especially in the Northern Territory of Australia, is extremely brutal, particularly for like their First Nations people.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely insane just how many folks are in
Is
the streets.
First
and, like,
Nation, is that like the Australian indigenous Native American people?
Yeah, indigenous, yeah, Native Australians, sometimes called Aboriginal, like Aboriginals, but I think
Okay.
that term has even been phased out. But
Okay.
they are just absolutely everywhere. And in fact, they deal with almost identical issues that Native Americans deal with in terms of alcohol, drug abuse, completely being left behind by the government. But some people in programs are super helpful, but then others are just super underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
But I had commented something like that to this guy that I was working with about, I don't even remember what I said. He told me out of nowhere, I knew he was from Louisiana, but he was like, yeah, it's nothing like Katrina though. I was like, oh my God, I'm like thinking in my head, like, were you in New Orleans at the time that Hurricane Katrina went down? Apparently he was. He was a teenager, like 12 or something.
Mm-hmm.
His mom, I want to say, was present, but maybe, I don't just want to say his mom was an addict because I honestly don't know whether she was. But then his dad was certainly not present. He raised his little brother as a 12-year-old, and his little brother was like 5 or 6 or something like that, out of the second floor of their house, because the first floor was fucking flooded from Hurricane Katrina for months. So it's like, you think about no school, no nothing. Like they lived off of cold cut sandwiches out of a cooler for all those months and months and months. And it's just like, that's some kids' reality. And like some adults now, that's what they grew up as. And that's like, it's an unimaginable nightmare that some people have to go through. It's just absolutely wild. Second story, and not all homeless folks are on drugs, of course, and vice versa. But I just learned about this new stuff called FLACA. Like, I thought I kind of knew some stuff about drug culture, whatever that means, but maybe I'm just an old guy and out of touch. But have you heard of this flakka epidemic that's happening now?
Never heard of it.
So it's like super similar to PCP, apparently, where people get on this stuff and they just go absolutely apeshit, and like they can be tased, pepper sprayed, like shot by police especially, and become super aggressive, and they'll run like 30 miles an hour, like hit by cars, and they just keep going. It's just like this new stuff that I don't know if anybody's ever experienced that or seen that. I'd be interested to hear. But I don't know anything about anything like that. And apparently that's something new that people have to deal with now. But anyways, I just had those two anecdotes. Then
all right, great. Well,
get out
thank
of
you.
your way.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, have a good one.
Take care.
Call from.
No, yeah, don't be wrong.
Hello,
Hey,
Legato.
hey, how's it going, man?
How's it going, dude? We're talking about homeless today.
Okay, well, what is a home?
Home is a
Did I
place
just blow
that
your
you
mind,
live.
Man?
What?
Well, do you feel at home?
Legato, I can barely
like
hear
it.
you. What?
Let me change the setup. Like, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, way better.
Okay, well, what is a home?
I don't know.
Do you feel at home?
It could be anywhere. It's just where you live. I think of it personally as a structure that stops rain from getting on you.
I like to think that home is where the hearth is.
Oh.
The hearth with a TH.
Oh, like a big rock that gets hot?
Yeah, or like a chimney or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, home is where the hearth is.
So even people with homes sometimes don't even have homes, really.
Yeah,
If they
well,
don't have
I
a
mean,
hearth.
like, what is a home? Like, do you feel at home? Do you
Right
want to
now?
go home?
What do you feel at home? What is your home situation like, Legato?
Well, I live in like a wooden house, and I don't like it because it's like made of wood.
'Cause there's no
It's got
hearth?
2 stories. There is no hearth.
So you're
But I got
homeless.
some beehives and stuff, but no hearth.
So, but that's what makes the difference. You got to be warmed by the
yeah.
hearth.
Yeah, you got to put a chimney. That's the whole thing. Look it up. It's real estate 101.
You know, it makes sense. I've seen homes, like really wealthy people homes, and they've got so many chimneys. They've got chimneys on chimneys. Every room has a fireplace.
Just as long as you have a really big decorative rock
Yeah.
that serves a purpose, you got a little house going.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Have you come across any traditionally homeless in your time?
Probably once or twice. I call these people transients or in betweens.
You call them what?
Gypsies. Transients.
Transients. Yes, yes. They're between
Gypsies.
things. They move around.
Yeah.
Gypsies. Yeah.
And gypsies always trying to get the better of me.
Oh.
They won't give me again though.
They have tricks. They try to steal your prized possessions, or what happened?
Well, no, they just crackhead sell your stuff.
Oh, I see.
And while they're stealing your stuff,
Yeah.
you just gotta watch out for the gypsies, man.
Alright. How can you
know,
tell a
back
gypsy? How can you, like, if you see a homeless person, what makes you know that they're a gypsy? A
Like if
transient.
you shine a flashlight like in the dark, their eyes will reflect like a cat.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a gypsy. They're not a real person, they're a gypsy.
Well, that seems like a foolproof way to figure it out then. All right, Legato, any final thoughts on the transients?
I hope they stay in California and don't come anywhere around me.
Yeah. All right, Legato, thanks for your call.
Thank you.
All right, you heard it from Legato. Test the homeless with a flashlight in the dark. That could work. I mean, you should, if you have a flashlight around with you. Who's this?
Call from
Connor.
Connor, we're talking about the homeless today.
Hey, yeah, I thought I'd share a couple of stories about my experience with a couple of homeless folk. So, you know the tropes in movies where homeless people are, kind of wise beyond their years. It's like as if they can see the end of the world, stuff like that. Just about every personable experience that I've had with homeless people has kind of been like that in a way. There was one time I was in the car with a... Say again?
They've given you some wisdom?
Yeah, a little bit. Some wisdom and like actual physical totems that they've given me. I've gotten a painting from a guy who claimed he was a nomad, and he chose to not have a home, just had his backpack, paintbrushes, paint, easels, He would live in and out of hotels whenever he could, but if he wasn't doing that, he was, living couch crashing and stuff like that. But I got a painting from him one time. And there was another guy. We were in the car with a bunch of my buddies, and we were just talking about comics and stuff, and somehow we got on a tangent about Spider-Man. And there was a homeless guy with a notepad, and I called him over, and I had $10, and I said, I'll give you this money if you give me whatever the drawing is in your notepad. And he gave it to me, and it was Spider-Man, and it tripped me out a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, it was very cool. But there was another time I was in North Carolina, and a homeless guy kind of drunkenly, I was sitting outside waiting to get a table to this restaurant, a hole in the wall. I was just sitting on the curb on my phone. He drunkenly stumbled down, sat next to me, and told me his name was Rainbow. And two strangers, was this couple walked past, and they had these two, the seltzer beer, the White Claw. They had two White Claws, and they said, do you want these? They were unopened. And he was like, hell yeah, me and my friend here are going to share them. And he cracked it open right there on the street and started drinking it. Was like, you want some? And I was like, no, I'm good, man. So, yeah. But, yeah.
So you've had pretty friendly interactions.
All in all, yeah, very, very friendly. If I'm ever asked to, if they could have money, I don't typically give them money. I'll give them food, or a jacket or, a blanket or something. I'm not going to give them money because I live in the city. And they're bound to get drugs, and you can tell too just by talking to some of them. So, I've had bad ones, and I've also had good ones. I've gotten threatened by a homeless person before. That was a little weird, but
tell us about that. We got two good ones. Now let's hear about the bad one.
Yeah. So a buddy of mine, we were I think 17. We're walking on it's an abandoned mill, and the mill's been abandoned since I think it was like the 80s or the 90s. And I was 17 walking around with him, and we found inside of it in the mill a mattress, and then he had a mounted photo of the Obama family, and there was like a love letter written next to it. And then he had this whole setup with these shower curtains, these multi shower curtains that would block because there were no doors on this mill. It was just brick buildings. And he would have like the shower curtains kind of block it. And then he had a notebook. And I do kind of feel bad for flipping through his stuff. I was 17. I know that's no excuse, but I was 17 and stupid. Yeah. So I was flipping. And we didn't take anything, but I was flipping through his notebook, and he had license plate numbers written down. He had like the description of a bike and pieces for it, and it was very, very eclectic. And then it started to get darker, and we were like, we need to go home. And as we're walking away, we see him, and he starts walking towards us. And he basically screams, what are y'all doing out here, yada, yada. And we were just like, just walking around. And he was like, you want to get out of here now? 2 kids are going to be found missing in the paper. We were like, oh, Jesus. And so we left. And then when we were walking away, we heard him screaming. I couldn't even, it was unintelligible. But we heard him screaming a bunch of nonsense, and we thought he was chasing after us. So we we ran to the car because we were dumb shithead kids.
Even that's not that bad. I mean, it seems like it's like how, because you were up in his space, so he's probably freaking out about that.
Exactly. So I didn't, I didn't blame him at all. Honestly, we didn't want to pick a fight with him either. We were just, like, okay, we'll leave because, we understood we were supposed to be there anyways. So, yeah, all in all, my experiences have been quite pleasant, and I've gotten physical things from them. And, that painting that I got, I'm a comic book writer, so earlier that day, I was talking about a chapter, and it required, a particular look. And the painting, I met that guy later in the day, and that painting looked exactly how I imagined it in my head, and the comic panel to be. And it was strange. It was very, very strange. So it's all been pleasant, but very cosmically pleasant, if that makes sense.
Very interesting. All right. Well, thank you for calling in.
Yeah, no problem. You have a good one.
All right. Good hearing from you.
Call from
Ricky.
Ricky.
Hey.
Ew, we're talking about homeless today, Ricky.
Shit. You ever been homeless or close to it?
Not really. I mean, I haven't owned any property ever, and so I've done a lot of couch surfing in my time, but I've never felt like I was like on the edge of actually being without a shelter. What about you?
There's nothing worse. I was like saved from it when I was younger. It was pretty close, right?
Mm.
It hits you pretty hard, and it's like the thing that saved me was actually a chick just letting me couch surf and then getting to take multivitamins of all things, right? Like you get so malnourished and run down on life. Multivitamins wind up saving me. I just think I wasn't getting like enough minerals or whatever to not be depressed about the situation. But
right.
it sucks.
Your body's not even functioning properly because you're not getting what you need.
Exactly, dude. And like you can't wind up saving yourself, In the U.S., it's fucking awful, right? So you're like sleeping in a car or anything. That's how my neighborhood is, man. I look out my window right now, and there's like all kinds of beat up cars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful.
So you've
but
got.
Hey, shit!
Sorry, go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, man.
So just that you've had the experience with it, so you've probably got empathy for the homeless people you see. Are there people who like when
Dude,
you see someone who's okay,
I wish I did have more empathy. Sorry to cut you off with that, but like that's a good point. You'd think that somebody who had a close call or a brush with it would have more empathy.
Mm.
And I guess I wish I did, but I really don't. It's like I don't know.
What's
I don't know how to
then?
develop that. Dude, indifference. I wish it wasn't in. I'm a NIMBY, I don't want it in my backyard. I don't want it on my front street. Really, it's not my backyard. It's my front street. It's like I don't know. It is an eyesore, and it is a problem, right? It's like a whole social problem,
right?
Fritz.
And it seems like an unsolvable problem, like when you look at the whole thing, because like whenever people are talking about their own homeless or near homeless experience, it's like very individualized. Like you could help one person, but what about everyone else?
Yeah, like what do you think of the plans? Everybody says like let's just put them in office space, right? But that's like, couldn't we just like relax the legislation for like, hey, if you're agreeing to live here, it may not be like the best thing to outfit an office to put all these people into, but like what else is that office space going towards,
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just I definitely don't claim to know the answer, but it's a weird thing, because people who are
I hate that. I just want to say I hate that objection to where people are like, well, you can't just convert office space that easily. It's like, yeah, but it's better than nothing, right? Like all that's in the way of that is a law of like so many bathrooms or plumbing or fire exits or whatever. And it's like, all right, so they can sleep in a gym during an emergency, but not that.
But isn't there there's some sort of issue of just like this is an odd example, but let's just say that there's a big skyscraper in the middle of the city. It's 100 floors, and we're just gonna be like, all right, let's just put all the homeless people in there. Like it's all this space that they can use.
Yeah,
but it's like
fix anything, right?
but like that's gonna cause a lot of problems, right? Because that's gonna be like
and
the
who
hub
gets the
of
penthouse?
yeah,
The top hobo gets the
it's gonna
penthouse
be
in that scenario.
it's
What
gonna
the
be
hell? Right?
based on dominance, physical dominance, who can kick the most ass to get to the highest floor. But it's like
It'll be like,
you don't. It's like I can understand why people don't want to create hubs for homeless people, because then it's like that is a centralized location for like drug trade and stuff like that.
Yeah, what's that movie that came out? Not Mad Max. There's like a whole thing where they got to like storm downtown and it like locks down. And you think, shit. I'm unprepared for this conversation. I honestly didn't think I would get through to you, Mr. Minanower.
Yeah. Well, thank you for calling in. Appreciate your call.
Thanks, brother. I love your show.
All right, thank you, man. Have a good one.
See you.
Call.
Oops. Who? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Who's this?
Hi, hold on, sorry. I'm listening to your podcast right now while I'm calling. How are you?
I'm good. We're talking. What was your name? Sorry.
Caesar.
Steven?
Caesar, like the salad.
Oh, Caesar?
Yep, that's me.
Cool. All right. Well, we're talking about homeless today. What do you guys say about that?
A little bit. I have a friend who's homeless right now, and he's been homeless since I want to say early last year of beginning of summer, and he's my best friend. I don't want to dox anything. I don't think I will. His name is Alex. I'm originally from New Jersey. He's from New Jersey, and I haven't gotten a chance to get in touch with him. He literally just fell off the face of the earth. He went to a homeless shelter, and then something happened. He was working, stopped that, got his phone disconnected, and I've been trying to get in touch with him ever since. I've been trying to find him, and it's been an uphill battle. I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've tried to call the police about it, where he was originally in New Jersey. Nothing. They tell me that I have to go over there and try to fill out information, which I can't. I live in Kentucky now.
Yeah.
But it sucks, and I still to this day I'm looking for him. And I just hope I find him. I hope he's not dead. He's been through some hell. Like his mother passed away that same year. And he was living with her, and he got kicked out because he couldn't pay. He didn't have the finances for it. And sometimes I feel like I let him down, because he was the only friend I was the only friend he had, and vice versa, at the time, And it's bothersome, I just wanted to chime in because you have that on the podcast, and I wanted to give my 2 cents. And Alex McCormick, if you are listening to this, by all means, please call. He got my number. But that's all I wanted to say. You have great content, and thank you for providing that. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you, man. And I hope you can find some sort of resolution for that. That would be great. I'm sorry about that.
Too, man. You have a good one.
All right, have a good one. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. On that very sad note, let's take a quick break. We are going to do this stream for about 3 hours today, so we're about a half hour in. We're going to take a few breaks. All the music during the breaks I'm going to be playing is from Kylivadrat. Kylivadrat. I don't know how to say it, but the links to their music is in the description of this video, and they did these music videos as well. So we're going to be watching some more of that. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, we're back. Real quick break. We're talking about homeless today. This obviously had the potential to be a very heavy topic, and we're getting into the heavier calls at the beginning here. But hey, we can say whatever we want about the homeless. Who cares, right? All right. Hey, whatever.
Call from
Oasis Pool and Spa Maintenance.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi. Who's this? What can I call you?
This is Craig from North Carolina.
All right, Craig. We're talking about homeless today. How are you?
Pretty good. So my experience in my late teens, early 20s, I was homeless in New York for a few years. And it's only gotten worse from what I've seen, but it was a lot of it was due to alcoholism and drugs, and it's terrible. Lived in a car for a few months, and then went from couch surfing to motels, and then finally landed up on the streets.
On the
I got a
streets for
family.
real?
Yep.
For how long?
Just shy of 2 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
dude.
it's pretty
Then
wild.
you're the authority on homeless right now. You're the seniority authority. You've had the most time on the streets. So what the hell was that like?
So in the beginning, it's like a shock, I'd say, for the first few weeks. And then if you're lucky, you get around, you start to learn the tricks of the trade.
Like
For
what?
example, where to dumpster dive, first thing is finding food. And unfortunately, it was also supporting the drug habit. So anything to get money. And it was, scrapping metal, stealing. It was pretty wild road.
Was the drug habit that contribute to you becoming homeless?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was at the time. I mean, I'm in my mid 40s, but at the time it was like right at the beginning of the pill pandemic kind of deal, the Oxycontins.
Okay.
Had a doctor subscribe it for. I had a knee surgery when I was 17 or 18. And at the time it was, now they don't do it the same, but at the time they'd give you prescriptions real easy. All you have to do is, show an x-ray and they'd give you, a month's prescription. Mm-hmm. And that worked for a while, for a few months. And then eventually it got a little bit tougher. So went to, street drugs, heroin.
Oh man.
Yeah. But things are good now. Definitely, I got a little bit of luck, and making a move away from New York City was a good move. Moving to the country, kind of, it just, I had a chance through like this a freak occurrence to get a job in North Carolina, and from there I just ran with it. Just stayed away from the stuff.
I've got two big questions there on opposite ends of this timeline. One is I want to know more about when you first became homeless, what that was like, and then also what caused you to break that cycle at the end of your 2 years of being homeless.
So in the beginning, when you have problems with opiates and drugs in general, you burn your bridges. So I had a loving family, and they helped as much as they could. But eventually, you kind of have to separate yourself from people in the midst of addiction. So in the beginning, it was just burning bridges, and I hate to say it, stealing. Stealing is really what put a big wedge between friends and family.
So if you're really in the thick of your addiction, having a support network can kind of they're kind of sort of, it seems wrong to say that they're enabling you, because that kind of makes them seem at fault, but it is that sort of thing where it's they're giving you the opportunity to continue your addiction.
Yeah, and they don't want to see you in pain. you know, and when you, especially with opiates, you get like, it's like the worst flu of your life.
Right.
So, and I hate to say it, I had, you know, cousins, friends that, you know, they would pitch into it. Like I'd ask for $20, you know, $30, and they'd help. And that'll last for a little while, but then eventually, you know, especially in New York, it's hard to get by. So giving someone money or, you know, stuff showing up missing every time you're around, eventually they'll cut you off.
Right.
And you want to find out what got me out of it?
Yeah, what caused you to break that cycle? You were in it for 2 years.
So I almost died. I overdosed. And it was before fentanyl, but, you know, I just did too much. You know, a lot of times back in the day, you'd build up a tolerance.
Yeah.
And you'd be getting high on a certain level of potency, and then all of a sudden you'd have this tolerance to that. You get a new batch, you take the same amount, and you wake up in a hospital. That's what happened to me. I was lucky. I woke up, somebody, and they called 911. And I wouldn't let myself detox before then. Like I'd always figure out a way to break through a window and go get high again. But when I overdosed, I was in the hospital. It just gave me a jolt. It was like lightning in my brain, and they offered me rehab. So I did the rehab thing, 30 days, and I found the job in North Carolina. And the way it works is this place, you work for this place, and you pay for your rent and stuff, and you have to take drug tests and go to meetings and stuff to maintain, to be able to stay there. And I did that for a year.
Is that something that was set up for you through the rehab?
Yes. Yeah, they like when you get towards the end of the 30 days, they ask what your plans are for after, and I didn't have any plans. I said I didn't have anywhere to go. So they looked up a few options, and I had to write like a small essay saying of why I wanted to come down there and my experience with work. And I was digging trenches. That's for a year. I did drainage through a company through this, I guess it's like a halfway house.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's it. Like after that, I worked hard and stayed away from everything, went to meetings. And now I got a business, a family. And if you met me, you'd probably never think I was a junkie.
Did you feel like...
I tell people they're surprised.
When you were at the end of your rehab stint there, like, did you know then that, like, you had to get out of New York? Was that seeming like the problem? Was the place? Okay.
Yeah, because like a big thing where I grew up in Queens, Rosedale, I was just tied in with a ton of bad people. Like, you know, I had good people, but I had this like circle that half of them are dead or in jail now. But at the time, I could get to a payphone or get to a phone, make a phone call, and I'd be in a hustle, you know, going with my friend to go, you know, steal tires or. So it was like I always had that connection. Like I knew that if I didn't break that, I'd just keep falling back into it.
Right. You're already like built into that network of like, this is what we do. We got the jobs lined up, the stealing opportunities. We got the drug connects. We got everything all built in.
And it's like, have you ever been really thirsty? Like super thirsty, where you haven't had water in a while?
Mm.
That's how I'd equate it to like let's say you haven't drank water or anything for 24 hours, and that feeling you'd have, you know, you can get rid of it really, really easy. And that's what I like, you know, with the getting high. To me, it was like, you know, drinking water or breathing air. So you get away from it for a little while, and then there's just like, it's almost like, to me, I describe it as like having like a little inner demon. And he is scratching the back of your eyes out. You have to follow him. And I just followed it. But like you said, leaving New York was the best for me. I'm a country guy now. I don't know how I lived there to begin with. It's crazy.
So my last question for you would be then, is it the feeling of being high at that level that is that you don't crave that anymore, or is it just that you are very aware of all the consequences that come with it and you're not willing to give it up?
So I still get cravings. If I see, like if I watch a movie and I see it, I can still smell it. So if I'm watching like what's a good one, Pulp Fiction, that scene when like I'll smell it. So it's still there. I still have it, but it's just like you said. I have like a tape in my head that I play, and that tape is how like it's like I'll fall. I'll go get high once, maybe for a little while. I'll be able to hang everything together, but eventually it would just take over. So I have it. It's like a mantra in my head. It's like, stay away, stay on the good path, or you'll be dead. Especially with fentanyl now. Now you can't trust any street drugs now. I've probably lost 24 people in the last 10 years to overdoses from fentanyl. Like high school, friends, family, you name it. And it doesn't care if you're rich, black, white, Jewish, Muslim. It's just all you got to do is just get that too strong of a dose, and that's it. It's over.
Is there anything or anyone could say to someone who's in that cycle that could make them change their mind like you did, or is it just like it has to come from within, like you got close but didn't die, so it's like you had a very personal experience with it? Is there something people can say, or is it just
bottom.
you gotta do it? Yeah.
If you don't hit a bottom, or if you're not at a point where you have a inner, like I think the alcoholics, drug addicts call it like a moment of clarity, and not everybody gets it. If you look at the percentages, I mean,
well, you were homeless for 2 years, and that wasn't the bottom.
Yeah. No, I would have kept going. Yes, definitely. If I didn't wake up in that hospital going through withdrawal and hearing that, my heart basically was stopped, like just everything kind of worked out. But you're right, I would have kept rolling with it. I was completely fine with the chaos. You actually kind of like the crazy, the chaos, like it feels like a warm Sunday morning in your bed. I don't know if that makes sense to somebody who's not an addict, but that's how I describe it.
It's sort of like, you're devoting your whole life to being an addict.
It's everything.
When you're at that point,
you'll do it before you feed yourself. You'll sell your grandma's shoes to get another fix. I mean, I've become spiritual since then, and I'd say it's like letting a demon on board. Like once you get caught up in it, and I know it's got stuff to do with genetics and everything, but some people, like I have an addictive personality. And anybody listening right now, if you like chocolate where you'll eat a whole container of, Oreo cookies, just don't even mess with it. Don't mess with booze, nothing. It's all poison.
All right. Well, hey man, thank you so much for your call. And I'm so glad that you had that moment and you were able to turn things around.
Yeah, I love your work, man. You're keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great work.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Have a good one, dude.
Yep. You too. Have a good night.
Bye. Yes, obviously, homelessness goes very hand in hand with addiction. That's a call-in show topic we've done before.
Mark, outside.
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Who's this?
This is Mark. I'm currently homeless and have been for a few years, off and on since I was 18, and I speak from personal experience about the situation.
Mark, I can just barely hear you. Can you get close to the mic or something? Like, I don't know exactly what.
Is this better?
Oh yeah, that's great. That's perfect.
All right. My headphones fuck up sometimes.
All right, so you've been on and off homeless, you said, for a couple of years?
Yeah, started when I was about 20 years old. Met a lady at a gas station that I thought was pretty attractive and needed my help. And one thing led to another. She introduced me to meth. And ever since then, I've had a very difficult time staying off the streets.
So you've been dealing with a meth addiction.
Well, more like a mental health problem, to be totally frank. I haven't used meth for years. I haven't used meth since I was probably 22. I'm 27 now, so that's 5 years.
So give us like an idea then of like what is homeless life like in your life?
Well, I live in Richmond Hill. That's just outside of Savannah, in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
My brother basically got engaged to a person that I did not like, just in terms of his character.
Okay.
And he accused me of being homophobic, and I said, I'm not homophobic. I just don't like him as a person, and I wish he would have chosen someone better. Push came to shove. At the end of the day, I just wanted my brother to be happy, and I realized that maybe him being happy would be me being gone, regardless of what I thought. So I left.
Were you like living? Sorry, were you living with your brother then?
Yeah, I was living with my brother.
Okay.
This is the most recent episode of homelessness, and I was cleaning pools as a summer job. Unfortunately, that's seasonal work. So I spent about a month applying for jobs on the streets everywhere in Savannah, and no one would take me because of my criminal record. I have a criminal record for manufacturing a Class 1 narcotic, which was meth. But it was I had no priors.
Yeah.
So the judge put me on probation and said, "You got a golden ticket, Mr. Nelson." And I said, "Thank you." I did my probation for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was arrested on a felony. It was dropped down to a gross misdemeanor.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, with that kind of stuff on your record, no one wants to hire you. No one wants to hire a guy walking into the business with a backpack. You know, it's like, get the fuck out of here. No one wants you. It's like, okay, that's fine. But I do have a boss right now. I work for Stanley Steamer. So I basically clean carpets, clean wood, clean tile, clean concrete. I clean air ducts, and that's commission work. It's not hourly; it's commission work. So I make 10%. I make 10% per job. So let's say a job is $180. I make $18. That sounds good, right? But they got you driving 10 miles that way, 5 miles this way, 8 miles that way, and you close out the day after about 8, 10, sometimes 12 hours, going home with $80 to $100 in your pocket, and if you do the math, that's it's quite actually below federal minimum wage. And I can't get a job at McDonald's because of my criminal record. I can't get a job at a gas station because of my criminal record. I've talked to other employers. I'm either ignored, ghosted, or told flat out no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of major employers, that is like the last part of the process is them doing like a background check.
Yeah. And, you know, people make mistakes. I'm not saying I'm innocent, but it's, you know, you're not done doing your time. Just because you get out of jail doesn't mean you're done doing your time. There are people who will just say, we don't want you.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a toll because I sleep in a tent in the woods right now. I pick up my garbage. I don't litter. I don't do drugs. I do drink alcohol, but I only have 2 beers a night. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm not getting plastered. I'm not in the middle of the street dancing and singing karaoke.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing of it is, I was listening a little bit earlier in your show when you were talking to people saying that when the homeless congregate, they scheme, you know, the worst of them comes out. And that's true because there's strength in numbers. And if you're with a guy that does meth or you're with a gal that, you know, sucks dick for heroin, you're going to become the people you're surrounded by. So you can't be with other homeless. You cannot be with other homeless people. You have to be by yourself. And that's incredibly isolating.
Hmm. So you would be, you wouldn't want, you would be against like having a centralized like temporary housing thing that's got a bunch of homeless people all together, like.
I'm against that. Unfortunately, I'm in a class of individuals that are just as degenerate, if not more degenerate than I have been. And it's very limiting to be surrounded by those people when you're trying to escape it. They say you're supposed to hang out with the people that you want to become, right? So it's like, okay, I'll hang out with my coworkers and shit. And they're like, well, we don't want the homeless guy around. You know, he only takes a shower once a week. He kind of stinks, you know, whatever. I get it. I probably wouldn't want to do the same thing either, but it's just the way America's set up right now. This ain't no fucking racist shit. But, dude, I got arrested in October of last year for charging my phone behind a closed business after the owner told me, don't do that shit. I ignored him, did it anyways, because that was the only way that I could get to this part of Georgia to get to a job that I have right now. I was arrested, finally went to court not a whole year, but the next year, so like January, right? A few months after I was arrested. And judge said, hey, Mr. Nelson, you got to pay us like fucking $1,100, dude. I'm like, I don't have that kind of money, Your Honor. You realize that I make below federal minimum wage, not an exaggeration, and you want me to give you $1,100? And meanwhile, there's people who just got into America. Like 80% of the courtroom had people who were there for driving unlicensed, unregistered vehicles without insurance, and all of them went up with an interpreter, a translator, and the judge dismissed their jail time, waived their court fees, and said, you're free to go. Obviously, their vehicle got impounded, so it's not like they didn't get any consequences at all. But I'm walking up as an American citizen, and I'm like, Your Honor, I did, do what the owner of that property asked me not to do, but I only did it because I was trying to improve my lifestyle. And he said, you owe us a shit ton of money, Mark. And I'm like, dude, these guys just got here. Why are they getting free passes? Just because I have a criminal record, it means I have to suffer for the rest of my life?
Yeah, I mean, that's that's a really tough situation where it seems like what you're saying is if you slip up in society, like, you're going to have to, after the fact, like, do things. You're going to have to live a certain way to try to get back in, but then society is also kind of like, they just don't, once you've slipped up, they don't really want any part of you anymore.
Well, those guys slipped up and they said, you're cool.
Well, you got to stop speaking English, dude. This is the problem.
That's very good advice.
But no, I hear what you're saying. That sounds like a really tough situation. So where are you at right now? You're living in a tent right now, and you're working.
Yeah, I'm in a tent. I'm in a tent in the woods. I got a job that keeps me alive. Trying to find secondary income, either that or tough it out and wait for us to get busier so I can make more money.
Yeah, well, God, all the best of luck to you, man. I'm sorry you're going through that.
And I just want to close with this.
Sure.
Not all homeless people are the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Just like not all white people are the same person. Not all black people are the same person.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same shit. And I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. Have a great day, dude.
You too.
Call from
Toner Martini.
Toner.
Yo, what's up?
Yo, we're talking homeless today.
Yes, we are.
What you got to say about that?
Man. Well, I sent you a message a while back about my house burning down and all that.
That's right. And that sounds really fucked up. You're moving out. You're living on your own. And what exactly happened there? Your house burned down? Your apartment or what?
I was renting a house. It was a house built in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I signed like the lead paint waivers and everything. So, yeah, pretty much I had moved to Nashville recently. Got a job at a bar, bar that's quite near and dear to my heart. And I was renting this house, and Jen was with me as well.
Your girlfriend?
A partner. And then we had lit some candles and pretty much stepped away for like 10 minutes. They were lit in the bathroom, and the shower was like fake plastic tile shit around the wall, and that plastic like melted, and pretty much that's how it all started. But the exciting part about that is we were sitting on the couch, and I was reading a book about like magical medicinal properties of certain plants and things. And I was reading the entry on elderflower, and the first line was exorcism. And I heard this weird noise. I got up and I looked around for the source of it. Thought it might have been the ice maker. Wasn't. Sat back down. Opened the book back up. I started reading again. Said exorcism. Boom. Hear that weird noise again. It's coming from the bathroom. And there's no smell of like smoke. No fire alarms going off or anything. Doorknob's not hot either. They always tell you don't open the hot doorknob door or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I open it anyways, and it's just like fucking the gates of hell like opened right there. Like fucking shower curtains on fire, the bathtub's on fire.
Good.
And then the flames just like. I think it's called like a backdraft or something when you like introduce oxygen to a fire. Mm-hmm. It just like consumes and leaps out at you. So yeah, our house burned down and pretty much took like everything that we owned with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a really weird feeling. Sitting on the front of a fire truck, just looking at it all go up in flames real bad and just being like, well, I'm just a person now. I have sweatpants. I have a Drew Langlois t-shirt. I was so happy about that, actually. I still got my dude that t-shirt. No socks, no shoes, had my phone. And then, the firefighter gave me like the trauma blanket, and I was like, wow, this is like my first item of possession. I have a blanket now. Shit was really weird for like the few days after the fire.
How can you recover from that if you go from being a person who's living in a place they're renting, you've got stuff, and then you've got nothing?
Yeah, it's very surreal. And thankfully, we weren't like, I lost my home, but I wasn't homeless. I was able to couch surf for a good while. Jen's sister let us stay at her apartment for a little bit. Bought us some like shoes, which is cool. And the day after, the firefighters were like, hey, go come over to the house, in the morning before people start looting it.
Yeah.
And we just started like digging through the fucking soot and rubble, just picking out shit. And it was really weird because the stuff that made it out was like a lot of essentials. Like I had my wallet, I had my car keys, lost like all my clothes, like all my, all of my distillation stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My moonshine and shit fucking exploded.
Good.
Yeah. And, those few days of just like cleaning soot off of shit that we were, pulling out of the house, just trying to figure out, how do I do my laundry? I'm not crying. I just have like fucking something in my throat. I promise you.
Sorry.
My coworkers, they like gave me all their clothes and shit. So now every day I go to work wearing my coworkers' clothes. Super fucking cool. They really took care of me.
Mm-hmm.
And oddly enough, I kind of like went around for a bit between Nashville and oh my fucking God. I need to drink some water. I need to finish this out for you too.
How long ago did this happen, Towner?
This was my house burned down on December 20th at 8:20 p.m. So it was like right before
just
Christmas.
a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm. And I'm living at a water didn't help. Fuck. That. Oddly enough, the rental company was very accommodating, which I was really not expecting. The contractor was an asshole, though. Like, imagine, like, being a fucking contractor that worked on this house and then, like, going there the day after it burned down, you know, meeting the people that lost everything and just saying to them, wow, I really put a lot of work into this house. This sucks. It's like, come on, man. Fucking, anyways.
Dude, and
Yeah,
I mean,
they,
how often do you actually hear of something where it's just like, we lit some candles and then the fucking walls started melting and everything caught on fire? That's abnormal.
It's just not shit that you're expecting to happen. But yeah, we kind of feel like the, you know, the house didn't like, you know, what had been done to it. Probably missed its family. Like haunted house movie type shit. Like, probably it wanted to go.
You think prior to you moving in, it was a cursed house?
Oh, we were the only. I think so. I think there was something still there. Yeah.
So you're in the midst of this, and you're in the, you know, this just happened basically. It was a couple months ago.
Pretty much. I have a roof over my head and everything, and I bought a mattress, bought a shelf, got a lamp. You know, it's not awful. You know, I think a lot of people who've called in have experienced, you know, very different things. You know, I didn't lose my job. That was one of the things the night of the fire. I was like, I'm still alive, Jim's still alive, our cat's still alive, and I still have my job. You know, it's really important. So yeah, just trying to recover is weird. A lot of my family is like trying to help me, you know, buy back the things that I lost, and it's just I don't know, trying to replace everything just kind of hurts more. And you know, this is in a way, not to like fucking Jordan Peterson positivity, fucking whatever the shit, but it is a fresh start in a way. You know, I'm able to slowly buy furniture that I like and all that. But yeah, I did want to say though, the rental company, really fucking weird. They're like, hey, sorry, your house burned down. There's an unlisted property that's going up. We'll let you take a look at it for the same rate. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. And I went to tour it, and there was the contractor probably left the door unlocked, and there was a homeless person squatting in the triplex, and they had taken the fridge and the washer and dryer. So I couldn't move in yet, so my coworker was kind enough to host me for a few nights until they got it ready. But yeah, insurance fucking sucks dealing with as well. It's like a real, it's like if your fucking house burns down, and you know, that really can disrupt your lifestyle. How do I have time to you know, tell you everything that I've lost and get you receipts for everything and photographic evidence, and of course I know that, you know, you're gonna nickel and dime me and not believe me when I tell you that I own 3 swords or fucking whatever, and all this fucking whiskey. But it really put a lot in perspective about like the things that I bought. I feel like I was maybe a bit more overindulgent than I should have been with purchases and things. So just, you know, having to write down everything that you owned, and, you know, just trying to get any sort of money back for that. And oddly enough, you know, I'm probably going to wrap up sending all that shit in tonight, and hopefully I can, you know, get some money back and then like buy a couch or something. Because me and Jen, we've been eating on the floor for a good while. Had an air mattress. Thankfully, we have a real one now. It's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, I really can't imagine that. That sounds horrible. I mean, does that give you? I don't know. We've all had interactions with a wide variety of homeless people, and we can all easily make assumptions about any of them to just we can make uncaring assumptions, just be like they got here because of their behavior or something. You're talking about something where it's like this happened very suddenly, and you're very lucky that you're able to have a support network. You move to a new place and you still have a support network that you're able to call on. But like,
yeah,
this is how does this affect your perspective on others who are homeless?
Oh, dude, the fucking the day that I wasn't able to move into the place where I'm at right now, I was outside my workplace, and a homeless guy asked me for $1, and I gave him one, offered to smoke a cigarillo with him, and we just got to talking, and he was telling me about how he became homeless, and I was like, oh, dude, yeah, my house burned down. I'm fucking sleeping in my car. And, thankfully I had some clothes in my car I was able to give him. And now I still keep like a bin of clothes in my car, and I've given clothes to homeless people like 3 times now. This guy just needs some socks, people jackets, pants. Yeah, I mean, I've always, I'm not like, I've never been afraid of talking to homeless people or, any of that stuff. And it like the comic theme is, it is very an individual experience. And, those first few days after the fire, I mean, like, me and Jen were covered in soot, wearing like, pajamas, just like walking around, And, you walk into a coffee shop looking at it like that, it's like, people could think whatever they want about, I don't know.
Do you feel like you noticed something like that, like being looked at or treated differently?
Kinda, but it was also like, I don't know, I felt very human. It just, I can't choose how I dress at this moment. Right. I have shoes, I have a jacket, I don't care if it looks disgusting, it's keeping me warm. And it just felt a lot more honest, and I felt like, it's weird to talk about some of these experiences positively, but I did feel a bit more connected to the world around me, because it's like, once your phone dies and you don't have anything, then you just exist within the world. And I think a lot of people just living, what we would consider normal lifestyles in our society do kind of experience this sort of illusionary perspective on things around them. It's just, I don't know. I think that we all kind of need to engage more with the world around us in a very more real way.
That's an interesting point about being more honest about how you present yourself, because there's that thing of like, people, will present themselves in a way that they want to present themselves, but if you are all of a sudden you lost all your possessions, like you're forced to be very honest about where you are right now. You can't pretend anymore.
Yeah, it's a weird kind of concept that I've been grappling with in a lot of ways. Just kind of recently is this idea of honesty in lots of different forms, For either related or unrelated reasons. I've become a lot more honest with myself, and that's still like an ongoing process. I think like I'm not lying to myself anymore, and then you peel back another layer, and it's like, oh, I was just, I don't know, lying to myself about another aspect. It's just trying to become a human being. You can talk about it in all these sort of like Jungian ways, but it all really boils down to just knowing yourself, which is pretty much, in my opinion, the reason why we're here. And it's, for a lot of people, either the most difficult thing they'll do or something that people just won't do. I mean, earlier today I was thinking to myself, like, would I be happier if I was just living in this sort of dream world that I've lived in for most of my life? Because I think that, I mean, I can't help but be nostalgic about, the time that I've spent fucking just playing video games and hanging out with my friends and shit. But, I'm living a much more real experience right now. And it's different and painful to like face these things and try and grow as a person. But I mean, it's important, and I think it is. I think growing is why we exist in the first place.
Well, Toner, it's really good.
Not where I expected to go.
It's really good to hear from you. You're a great guy, and I'm very, very sorry that this happened to you. And I.
It's not so bad, Mr. Medidar. I'm not lying. It fucking sucks, but shit could easily be worse, and it is worse. It is worse for a lot more people, even people that have called in today.
No. And I know you. I know that you have a very positive outlook on life. So this is considering how challenging an experience this is for you. You do have a very positive outlook, which I totally expect from you because this is how you are. So.
Well, thanks, bud. I appreciate that.
No, I mean, so it's really great to hear from you.
Yeah, dude. Jen's taking a walk right now, but sure that they say hey too.
Yeah, absolutely, and say hi to her for me.
I will.
All right. You have a good day, man.
All right. You as well. It's good hearing from you. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hey.
Okay. We are going to take a break with that. Continued to be heavy, We'll see if the homeless topic lightens up at all, but whatever. It doesn't. We're here to just talk about it. It doesn't matter what the tone is. All the music from the stream is from Kylivadrat. Again, gonna play another 2 minutes here, and then we will be back with more calls. Okay, we are back. Whoa. We're back. We're talking homeless today. You can call in 518-288-7938. Oh, God. I don't have do not disturb mode off. All right. 518-288-7938. We're talking about homeless. Your experience with homelessness, whether that's you being homeless or just interacting with homeless. You know? Yeah, I got nothing to say. Okay, who's this?
Call from
Raven.
Raven, we're talking homeless today. What's up?
What's going on, man? You know, help me feed my fish, bro.
What? What do you mean?
You remember advertisements I was telling you about Temu, the little fish game?
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Like, help me feed my fish, bro.
Okay.
I used to be homeless. Yeah, working out of that now. But even when I was like homeless, I was at least near a beach, and that's kind of like a hub for a lot of homeless people, a lot of tourists, a lot of people that just hand you money and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I was holding up like 2 jobs while being homeless. So it's like, it's not that it's ultimate suffering, but the ultimate suffering comes from the lifestyle choice. I'd say, like, you know, you'll meet a lot of whoops, and these are people that like act like hippies, but they really like drugs and kind of like asking you, like, hey man, can I borrow like $4? You know, but you know, swindlers. But you know, not everybody's like that. Some people are actually like, you know, they'll go to farther lengths before they'll ask for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the fact that like they have no resources to hold it together, that you know, it turns into begging. But
so what's your experience? Sorry, what's your experience with homelessness then? Like, what's your profile as a homeless person?
Dude, it could be anybody. I mean, nowadays, what you'd consider homeless is, you know, not having a residence, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, or a shelter of some kind. It's like somebody could say, I live in a shack in the woods. And they'll be like, oh, he's a homeless person. But really, it's like that's his home, and he's cool with it.
Yeah.
To the point to where someone built like a makeshift shed on the side of a byway or something. Okay. But it can be anybody. Even someone, like some tragedy would happen out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden you've lost everything, and there's nothing you can really do about it. You wasn't prepared for it. Mm-hmm. Or to the point where, you know, you can drink and drug yourself to the streets. My experience was really just like a matter of circumstances, and, you know, I was young. So some of the opportunities I had, you know, I kind of squandered just from being, you know, stupid young person. Not too bad, but just like, enough to where, you know, it just kind of destabilizes your life. And then, you know, you're stuck. You're out on the street. You don't have any resources. You don't have people that can help you. Or they don't want to help you. They want to see you do it on your own. But really, it is a huge matter of circumstance in society nowadays for a consideration of homeless. You know, a lot of what we think of homeless is like, you know, this scraggly person on the street with a big coat and like they got nothing. But it ranges from that to people you don't even see in the woodworks of the streets, just, you know, trying to stay off of the street. You know, someone could be homeless, you know, trying to stay up in a hotel, but they don't have a stable place to live. There was one time I slept behind a freaking trash can in a parking garage. This is years ago, mind you. I'm married and expecting now.
Congratulations.
But like, yeah, I'm about to move to Florida. It's going to be palm trees and sunny days. I do have one question for you real quick before you get back to the topic. Dude, the shoe body bop with Langlois, like, dude, yeah. After the end of that, like, can you please make one where he goes up and he like bops God or something? Please, Please tell me you're gonna make like a continuance of that, because
Dude, I will say there's more on the way. There's more on the way, but that's all I can say.
so funny.
All right,
But,
so do you feel that your opinion on homeless people has changed given your life experience? Like, was your profile of a homeless person different before and after you were dealing with this?
like as a kid, I'd think the stereotype, like I said, scraggly person with a coat on the street begging or whatnot.
Yeah.
But after it actually happened to me, and then meeting so many different types of people that are in that setting, like that guy said that you were talking to a minute ago, it's like you don't be around other homeless people; they'll make you more homeless, kind of thing. It's like experiences and influence, and learning little tricks and trades for being out there just kind of pushes you deeper in. That's why I always stuck with having a job while I was in that position. It was like I could not have a job. I'm not gonna beg. I could do something to get myself out of there, and I ended up getting into a trailer. That's how I got out of homelessness. I worked, and then I got out. But some people can't. They have charges. It is really a matter of circumstance, and it can happen to anybody. It could be anybody.
All right.
So
Well, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
I got your fucking pants right here. You paid for this.
That's the prototypical homeless, isn't it? That's what we all think of. The crazy guy who's just like, I don't even understand what world they're living in.
Us now. Yeah, man. I'll let you get back to your callers. I know you're trying to keep it short. Be safe, man.
All right, thank you for calling in. Have a great day, dude.
You too, man. Bye.
Call from
Clarence.
Clarence, you back.
Hey, dude, what's up?
Nothing much, dude. We're talking about the homeless today.
Yeah, this has been a pretty heavy stream today.
It has been. Are you homeless? Be honest with me, bro. Are you homeless right now?
No, I'm standing in my room. I'm very grateful for the things I have. I'm grateful nothing crazy
You better fucking
happen. My mom's kind of homeless. She kind of lives in a van, but she likes it that way. She chose that. And she's not on drugs or anything. She just loves being a free spirit and driving wherever.
Van life.
But I do have something to say about the homeless. Have you heard about this immigration crisis hitting all the big cities in America lately?
Very vaguely, but go on.
Yeah. And before okay, I love immigrants. I think they're great. Me and my family, we've even housed immigrants from all over the world, like Haiti, Dominican Republic, even one from Korea, dude. They're great people, awesome, hardworking boys. But something that really frustrates me is hundreds of thousands of these immigrants are coming over and they're shipping them to big cities like New York and San Francisco. And then a lot of resources that should be put towards the native homeless population are being pushed towards all these immigrants that just kind of came out of nowhere. They have no paperwork. We don't have any idea who these people are, right? And I just think that's kind of wrong that we're because I know at least at New York, they're clearing out schools to house these immigrants. They're clearing out hotels to put them in. And it's I feel like a lot of those resources, we should try to solve our homeless problem before giving that to a bunch of other people, we got homeless vets out there, and then we're giving a room and board to people that just showed up. And I get there are people too, and I love immigrants, love immigration. I think it's good for the country, but it just kind of I don't know. I guess it just rubs me the wrong way that all these resources that could be going to our native homeless people are getting pushed onto immigrants. And I don't know, it's just a sticky situation. It's just a hard, I don't have any answers. I don't know, but.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And it is a sticky situation because what's the solution? I mean, it's from the people we've heard from today, there's a lot of people who are talking about how they've been homeless. We had a couple people that are talking about addiction and how that's something you have to grow out of personally. It's not something that can come from some external source. But it's what is the solution? If you got a a whole bunch of homeless. Like, what are you really going to do to help them that is not also enabling the people who have got their own personal problems that they're going through?
Yeah, I don't know. And
I don't know either.
Like, and you hear about people, like you'll see an interview or something, they're interviewing a homeless person. They're like, no, I like being homeless still. It's like, I like the drugs. I like, I'm just not ready to get out of it. So it's like, I get what you're saying, that you kind of have to grow out of the addiction. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Is it just kind of rubs me the wrong way when they're giving all these resources to like all these random people, and we have like homeless vets and like people who had tragedy strike, and they really need the help, but I don't know.
All right. Well, hey, thank you for calling in.
Yeah, no problem. And to all you homeless out there, heart goes out to you. God bless. We're all gonna make it. Bye.
All right. See you, Clarence. Dude, is there gonna be someone who calls in he's got the answer? He or she has the answer. They're going to tell us, how do we deal with
Call
this?
from
Matt.
It's Matt. Matt! Hello?
Hey.
Matt, we're talking about the homeless today.
Hey, I think you're really great. I was watching that one episode you did from that dude's apartment when you were giving away the stuff.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I know you're talking about the homeless, but was that guy giving you a hard time, the roommate?
No.
Dude, I was worried about you, and then I don't think you uploaded anything for a little while after that. I was like, man, did something crazy happen?
No, dude. It's unrelated. My being lazy about uploading stuff had nothing to do with the roommate.
Well, that's good. I thought you were dead.
No,
so that's
dude,
really
I'm fine.
good.
I'm good. I'm here. I'm transient though. I am moving from place to place, So that's
I'm sorry. I even thought maybe you guys had like coordinated that, because that dude had some like a weird vibe. Did you think he was kind of strange, or was he cool?
He's cool. He's the roommate. I know him. Like, it was just
He's like the guy on the couch in Half Baked.
Yeah, there's nothing to be worried about. No dangerous vibes or anything. It was all part of the show.
Cool. Well, just wanted to let you know I was thinking about you, man. I was sending positive your way. So
thank you, man.
I kind of maybe said something that I think some people in the chat took umbrance with.
Okay.
I said that if you're struggling in whatever way, financial, if you're struggling in your relationships, I don't think drinking alcohol helps. Like, for the one thing, you can take that money and buy any number of cheap things. Shoes at Walmart are $20. Jeans at Walmart are $20. Work gloves are so helpful. You can work so much more if you protect your hands. Mm-hmm. And I, on top of that, I think that it's kind of like there's like a mentality when you tell yourself, I'm not drinking. I'm not in a place right now where where relaxing in that way is appropriate. And I also, just one more thing that I had brought up was, if you're going to go to somebody, whether you're asking for a job, or whether you're working with them, or whether you're asking for some kind of housing or assistance with money, and they ask you, what'd you do last night? And if you want to be honest, you probably don't want to say, I chilled out and drank a couple of beers, Mm-hmm. I think it'd be better. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, I think this is a perfectly valid point you're making. The only the flip side is like, being a person who can get depressed about the situation they're in. It takes a certain kind of mental fortitude to be able to look to the future like that and be like, I'm going to forego the things in the present that are going to make me feel better in the short term so that I can sacrifice that for the long term. That is a hard thing to do if you're in a really shitty situation like being homeless. Like, you'd think that would be tough to do. It'd be hard to be like, yeah, I'm going to just get rid of all these comforts that I have and just focus entirely on the future.
There's nothing easy about bringing yourself up out of homelessness. And that's just one of those difficult decisions that you have to make. And in my opinion, that's just one of the many, many difficulties that you're going to endure if you find yourself, whether it was a fire or whether it was something, drugs, addiction, something like that. There's going to be struggle after struggle. And like, I guess in the case of somebody who has like a fire, I would ask, if you look back to that night of that fire, was alcohol involved? And I think that maybe not in this specific person's instance, that might not have been the case. But in a lot of cases, I think people would say, you know what? When I got in my car accident, when I started that fire, when I got in a fight with my significant other, alcohol was a factor. I think 9 out of 10 people would find themselves having to, if they were honest, that they would say that.
Do you think, like, are you like a totally sober guy? Like, you don't believe in any of that? Or is that like a thing that you have to earn? You have to be in a certain spot before you're okay with it? Like, what's your opinion on any drugs and alcohol?
I am totally sober only because I know that I'm not a responsible person whenever I choose to, like, I don't drink a little bit, and I don't smoke a little bit of weed. There's been other things that I've done that I don't want to really get into. Sure. But those two things have been the heaviest. And I can tell you that, like, I've tried to sort of be like, I'm just going to drink on Friday, or I'm only going to drink at bars, or I'm only going to drink when I'm with somebody, or I'm only going to smoke weed, or I would tell myself smoking weed helps me be creative, or I
tell myself I'm only going to drink during the call-in show.
Yeah. And do you?
Only? Sort of. It's close to that.
Does the call-in show then expand to, like, you're writing ideas for the call-in show?
It makes me want to do the call-in show more frequently if I keep drinking to just the call-in show.
Right.
But so you have the perspective here that personal responsibility is the number one sort of factor here.
Probably, and I'm not somebody who says everything, that everybody is the same way. So I'm perfectly accepting that there are people out there, even people who are dealing with financial difficulties and maybe even homelessness, who can probably drink a little and it's not a problem for them. But then it really goes back to what I was saying, where if you're ever in a position where you're asking somebody, hey, I need you to help me out, when people like that find out that, like, you drink, it just really does cause, I think, a weird feeling. They're like, well, you're asking me to help you out, but you drink, and cigarettes, forget about it. If you smoke cigarettes and you're asking somebody for money, I mean, they're really going to say that's a problem.
And that's probably the number one reason I can think of why, I mean, personally, but I think this applies to a lot of people, is like why a reason to not give money to homeless people is you think that this money is going to go towards feeding an addiction. It's not going to, like, help. It's going to be enabling.
I think you're right. Personally, I give homeless people money, and I don't care what they do with it. Norm Macdonald had a joke, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I really do have one more thing I'd like to say, but real quick, Norm was so funny. He had a joke where he said his mom told him not to give homeless people money because they were going to spend it on drugs. And he said, well, that's their money. They can do whatever they want with it. I wouldn't like it if my boss saw me at the store buying SpaghettiOs and told me not to buy SpaghettiOs. And I feel the same way. If I give somebody money, I'm giving them money. I'm not giving them money and going to say, look, spend it on a certain thing. But if especially if there's a pool of money available to help people out, I would not think it was okay for them to draw from that pool to buy cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, things like that, when other people are going to draw from the same pool to buy, like, diapers and things.
All right, I got you. And what was the last thing?
If I could just,
go ahead.
If I could just say one last thing, the way that I think we could really get moving in a direction of helping homeless people, like make it more of a part of our attitude that we want to, as a country, help homeless people, is something has to happen in the media that shines a certain light on homeless people, because like vampires are super popular because of Twilight, right? Uh-huh. And there's no reason that vampires should be so cool. They're like bad, they're villains, and So homeless people need to have their twilight moment. If we could make a movie that really like is just like over the top, positive, and maybe like a romantic homeless people movie or something, I think that would go a long way to help out. And that's the last thing I want to say. I think that's a really nice grill. Pineapple, and thank you, man.
All right, have a great day, dude. Thanks for
I'm glad
calling
you're not
in.
dead. I'm glad you're alive.
Yeah. All right, have a good one. You too.
Call from
Cochunga.
Cochunga. We are talking about homeless today.
Oh, no way. I made it through.
Yeah, dude.
What was the name? Oh, Cochunga. That's right. I did a bunch of these, but you missed some of the better names. I'll give you that.
Sorry.
Homeless, dude. Okay. Give me a second. Let me get my bearings as if I were homeless myself.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I had a story for this. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to. Well, how do we start this? So I was reminded of this because today I ate this sandwich out of the back of my fridge. That was so cold it was frozen. Like the middle of it was frozen while I was eating it. This was earlier today before I saw your show, so a little spooky, but the correlation. But it reminded me of when one night I drunkenly ordered a lot of Taco Bell, and I forgot about it. So I woke up the next morning and it was right there on the front door. So I was like, I can't throw all this away. I put it in the fridge. It was like 8 hours old, sitting outside. Later that day, I ate one of those, right? I ate a taco out of there. And then I was like, I don't know if I should keep doing this. Let me go give this to the homeless people. And I did. I went and I tried to hand out some tacos because there's a good amount of homeless. I live in a semi-transient. They just gentrified my area recently, so there's a lot of new homeless. And they didn't want my food, dude. This is the bit. They were like, too good for Taco Bell.
They give it like the smell test, or was it just the bag?
No. They just saw me coming with a bag of food, and I was like, hey, you want some food? Before I was even done asking, they were just like, move on, keep it moving. Like, I was the homeless guy. See, this is... I was the undesirable because I was the one coming to do something right. I don't know. It made me laugh, like, as soon as it happened, because I kind of thought maybe they're not even going to want it. But just it wasn't money or booze or anything, it was just food, so...
And you did try a taco, so you knew that it wasn't going to kill you.
Oh, no, yeah, I didn't feel great. That was a regret taco.
Oh, okay.
But it's a nice gesture. If you have nothing, I'll take potentially dangerous taco over air,
So is
grass.
that color your general opinion on homeless? Is that like...
Well, what does that say about me? I didn't want to throw the food away. I ate some of it, so I was like, I know I'd seen the guy on the bench earlier.
Yeah.
If it's good enough for me, dude, then it's good enough for the guy who doesn't even have a house. Was my thoughts.
And
it
you
wasn't
paid
like
for
it was.
You've got
I'm not
like
trying to poison the homeless.
you're indebted to this food. You paid for it, so it's like I want to get a little something out of this. But if you're giving it away, then they don't even have a debt to it. They should just go for it.
You want to hear what's crazy? And maybe this will inspire people. I actually went and complained to Uber Eats. I didn't even complain. I just told them that I forgot about it. Like, I didn't get it. And they gave me my money back.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Because you forgot about it.
I didn't even say it was their fault.
So is that something homeless people could do? Like, order Taco Bell, Uber Eats, then later say they forgot about it?
$30 worth of Taco Bell.
But that seems like that's a good deal. You got that for free.
It was a substantial,
$30 worth of Taco Bell. Dude, how much does that even get you? That's like, how many bags is that?
It was a heavy bag. It was like a 10-pound bag. But I don't know if you buy your food or not in the past year or two, but Taco Bell is not a cheap man's food anymore. That's a rich man's.
Okay. I haven't had Taco Bell in a while. That's a whole separate stream. Is fast food. It's become way too expensive.
I'm not really a fast fooder myself, but I do notice that it's
drunk.
Yeah, that's about the only time I get into it.
Yeah. All right, well, hey, thank you for calling in. Oh, yeah, what?
No, No, I was gonna say normally I've called in 2 other times, dude. I'm the guy that gave you Mr. Fibber and the emotional wine cellar. I don't know if you.
Oh, yeah.
You have to remember because those are good.
Loved the emotional wine cellar. Great bit.
I don't know. I like the idea. I like vetting my jokes to you because you are an authority in my world, at least on what I think is funny. So.
Thank you. Well, the emotional wine cellar, that's a very memorable one.
That's a good one. It's one of my better ones.
I'm going to say goodbye to you now because we can't
just has an emotional wine cellar.
We can't just, reminisce about previous call-in shows. But thank you for calling in.
You're right.
Dude.
Yeah, man. Take care.
All right. Have a good one. Bye. Dude, there is, that's upsetting. You're trying to do a good deed and freaking guy without a home is turning up his nose at you. I mean, I would take free Taco Bell off the street and I live somewhere. I would love that. That would be newsworthy in my life. It's like a guy gave me a giant bag of Taco Bell for no reason. Pretty sweet. So, we gotta take the good with the bad. All right, we're gonna take a quick break here. All the music on the stream is from Kylivadrat. The music is in a link in the description of this video. You can easily find it. And we'll be back in a couple minutes. 3 minutes. Okay, we are back. We're talking about homeless today. You know, actually, real quick, before we get back into the calls, you know, maybe this is not a sensitive way to do this, but, you know, we just gotta do it. We're talking about homeless, and you know what? There's a way to clothe the homeless, and it's with buying these shirts. I just worked with this guy. He's got this great website, shirt.sexy. Shirt.sexy. He's got this brand new shirt that just came out, this wonderful head bop design that you may be interested in. And if you're not interested in it, maybe you should buy it and give it to a homeless person. Maybe? It's only $27 plus shipping. That's totally normal for a shirt. But also, if you go to shirt.sexy, put your email into this bad boy right here, you get $10 off your first order. It's a new design. It's basically the only TMH shirt that's available right now, because I stopped doing Teespring, so I don't like Teespring anymore. They're being a real pain in the ass. This is a custom design shirt from this guy who sells shirts. He makes them. Very legitimate business run by an individual rather than a giant business organization. Put your email in here, get $10 off your first order. You can order this head bop shirt. Get one for yourself, one for any friendly homeless guy that you know. Maybe they'll take that. If they don't like Taco Bell, they might want this shirt. The link is in the description of this video, but you can also just go to shirt.sexy to get that shit. All right. Anyway, just a real quick little plug for this new shirt. It's a brand new shirt, so goddamn, I mean, I gotta say something. It's a great shirt. All right, you can call in right now. It's 518-288-7938. We're talking homeless. We're in the final hour of the show here. We're gonna end around 5 PST, so that's about an hour from now. So we'll do a few more calls, one more break, a few more calls, and then we'll be done. 518-288-7938. Talk to me about homeless. We've got a lot of personal homeless experiences so far, but we can talk more generally if you want. You know, don't feel discouraged to call. Aiden? Aiden?
Holy shit, I'm back in. Man,
Yo,
it's
dude.
been a while. Last time I got on was like 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. Dude,
And
well, you're on.
ironically, I'm also abroad when I was doing that too.
Well, we're talking homeless today. What you got to say about that?
Do you want the conspiracy angle or do you want like the pseudo social science angle?
Conspiracy.
Okay, bro. So why do you think that there's, like, as one of the previous callers had mentioned, why is there so much more of an emphasis being placed upon trying to deal with the immigrant problem rather than trying to deal with, like, you know, the local citizenry problem? Because it's like, you think that we're trying to address local community before we bring in new people that are trying to, you know, end up inherently adding more problems to an already existing problem, you know?
I don't know, or I would rather hear your answer of what this is.
I mean, like, it gets into the general, like, conspiracy angle of it's like, what benefit is there for local government to destabilize things? Like, I lived in San Francisco for a little while. I know how bad, like, the homeless problem is there, and I know that they're not as necessarily trying their best to, like, make the whole thing more manageable in a way. And like that previous caller had said, they're still focusing on, like, trying to take in more labor from outside instead of trying to provide more jobs and more opportunities for people who are already there. And what benefit is there to doing that? It's sort of like a destabilizing factor. It keeps demand down and it keeps people from overall being able to organize in a way, because we're too focused on, like, fighting each other than we are, like, trying to organize, you know?
Explain that a little bit more to me. What I'm hearing is, like, you're talking about keeping the cost of labor low because it's immigrant labor, or maybe explain that a little bit more so I understand that.
I think it's a substitute because, like, look, when you're homeless for a while, it depends on the age that you get into the homeless. But if you're like homeless and you're young and you're unable to get that education, it's a lot easier for you to just bring someone in from out of the country who may not necessarily know everything they need to know because they didn't grow up in the American system. And then that's a lot easier than it is trying to bring someone back up from being a homeless. It's similar to like when you come out of the prison system, no one's going to treat you like, try to bring you back up to speed. They're saying that's like the whole American value of do it by your bootstraps.
Mm-hmm.
But when you bring over another person from another part of the world and just say, okay, you're starting from zero, it's sort of weird that we're doing that for other people, but not doing it for like the people who have been here and people who we know have been suffering. We have all the data. We know that.
So from the people in power's perspective, is it about it's easier to take advantage of people who haven't grown up in the American lifestyle, or is it like, there's something there about if you've gone to jail, we've got your records, we know. Whereas, like, if you went to jail in some other country, that's, like, maybe not as, that information doesn't get across the border or something. What's your perspective here?
Well, I think it's it's not a controversial thing to say that we're in, like, the liberalism where we want to elevate the idea of diversity being our strength, but diversity doesn't include the guy who lives, like, 2 miles from your house that's been on the streets and been struggling for a while. There's that angle. And then there's the angle of it's just easier to be able to supplement the labor pool with people who are already wanting to come here. Because despite everything that's happened with America, despite how we know everyone who's American knows that things aren't necessarily the greatest, everyone still wants to come here. And people who are here coming from a different country who don't know all the rules, who don't know all the systems, are a lot easier to sell on the idea of being a worker than it is people who have grown up, especially homeless people who have had to go through a lot of shit and might want to change.
Mm-hmm. So you think it's like so it is kind of like it's easier to take advantage of people who didn't grow up here.
I think it's sort of just like a systemic issue within the government, the other angle I was going to go with was like the fact that like as a society, it's harder for us to be think it's the same thing that I brought up with prison population thing. It's like, we don't want to trust people because you were put away in a box for years on years and then you come out and then no one wants to try to help you bring you back up. But then from the government perspective, it's the systemic thing of saying, oh, well, it's a lot harder to reform all of these homeless people, so we might as well just supplement the labor pool with immigrants because that's easier.
Mm-hmm. It's sort of, I would get the idea that people who emigrate to America, obviously it's a whole spectrum, but there is some sort of a thing there where it's like it's a fresh start. That's what I would think if I was in America and my life totally sucked to the point where I would want to move somewhere else to another country. I would think moving there would mean a fresh start and I could start over again without all of this baggage of my previous life experience.
It's the same sort of perspective. Yeah, that's exactly how it is. I mean, my family's one side of my family are all immigrants, so I understand that perspective a lot. It's just that we have to look at all these little all these little knots of people's intentions when they apply these things. You got to think about the politicians who we put in power who say they want to do the system this way but do it another way. We got to think about the people who run the prison systems that abuse or homeless people, and we got to think about the homeless people themselves.
So if you were thinking from the perspective of the people who are in power, what do you say is their greatest benefit for saying, let's leave behind these people who slipped up and were born in our country and let's embrace the people who are immigrating here? What do you think is the main benefit for the people in power to continue that perspective?
I mean, like, we all know the language of power, and we know politicians like to play that game. I'd say, like, what I think I was reading chat, one person that particularly said, like, it's easier for them to point towards a certain group of people being on the bottom because then you have a punching bag. Then you have someone that you can point to and say, here's the real problem with society. There's too many people like this. And then it's easier to blame that group of people when something's happening and it's like a distraction, you know?
Do you think, what's your perspective then just generally on like the addiction thing, and there's the whole pharmaceutical angle of like people having like a normal injury and then they're prescribed like opiates and stuff and they get put down on this path that might lead them to homelessness. Like, is that something that's just like that's a conversation that is happening generally, but like, do you think the people in power are concerned about fixing that, or is it just like is this like the Band-Aid to that problem where it's just like, well, we got a bunch of new people coming in and they can just kind of take the reins on the...
Well, we already know the whole fence thing was, we know about the fence story, someone already talked about that. We know about the pharmaceutical industry, but like the politicians are getting a kickback from the pharmaceutical companies because they're lobbying. Yeah. So we already know they're in bed with the people who are like generating these sorts of issues. So that leads back into what we were talking about before, where it's like, okay, so maybe the politicians are the ones who are creating these sorts of circumstances, and then because they want money or because they want to get the lobbying and not need to support a pharmaceutical industry.
Like,
and
it's
then
sort of
they need to find a way to spin it.
It might be, yeah. So this way of spinning it might be a sort of like cover up for that. It's like, we didn't screw up. It's it's a problem with
It's the pharmaceutical companies, which we took money from, but we're not going to. Don't pay attention to that.
Yeah, it's interesting. All right, hey, thank you for calling in.
Thank you, man. I sprained my ankle last week, and I've just sort of been like re-watching all of your vids, having a great time. Really happy that I was able to call in, and I hope you have a good rest of your night. It's 1 a.m. in Germany, so I'm going to conk out the moment this ends.
All right, hell yeah. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There we go. A little bit of the political problem here. Yeah, well, we're just going to move right now.
Call from
Eric.
Eric, how you doing?
Hey, doing okay. Long-time listener. How you doing?
I'm great. We're talking about homeless today. What you got to say?
Well, our mayor just got elected, right?
Okay.
They're making a law to make camping illegal in our town.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up.
Like, well, so explain that. Like, camping legal just meaning everywhere, or what?
Or illegal.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so like, it's frustrating because we have a pretty bad houseless / homeless problem out here. I work over at the Walmart, and you get people coming in stealing real basic stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell it's not people trying to make a killing or just like get away with something. It's people trying to survive.
It's not stealing scrap metal to sell it. It's stuff that they're actually going to consume and need.
Yeah, like a lot of that. Just like a lot of basic stuff. So it's just frustrating that we elected a mayor that's going to make that illegal. And it's just, I don't know. It just feels like a repeat of so many other things.
Well, we've had
systemically.
We've had some people call in already who talked about the NIMBY thing. You know that term, NIMBY?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So
it's a lot like that.
How do you feel about that? I mean, I would say from my perspective, just like there's some amount of that I feel is valid, like not wanting to. It's hard to say in a way that like is compassionate, but there is like we don't want to be surrounded by a problem. If you understand what I'm saying, it's
sure.
Like, so what
That's
is
understandable?
Yeah.
From a comfort level.
Well, just go on. Yeah, you tell me what you think.
I don't know. I think the more you push people to the margins of society, the scarier they seem, and the less likely you are to want to interface with them. The less you help people, the more intense and sometimes grotesque it can get, and the less you want it in your backyard. You see what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Sure, you can just redline and push things to the side, pretend it's not there, but I don't know. There's a fundamental problem, and I think it's actually quite solvable. I think that we just live in a society that's constructed in such a way that we don't solve it. And in some cases, it may even be sort of self-sustaining.
What if you could put your finger on it, like if it seems solvable to you, like what is the solution?
Well, maybe it's not solvable. Maybe it's a constant chasing our tails, right? Like, I don't know. I've noticed that there's a natural tendency for people to self-organize into hierarchy and for the powerful to kind of loom over the weak and get away with a lot more. Like we live in a world where you get enough power, you get to change one rule. That makes it easier for you to maintain power. You know what I mean? There's like a lot of unstable social economic feedback loops that create huge spikes in like localized wealth. And I think some of that's just straight up nature, which sucks.
If you're looking at it from
it feels a little justified sometimes, but at the same time, I feel like we should try to round that out.
If you look at it from a very generalized perspective of like, let's say, and this is a big theoretical, but let's say that like the people in power, I don't particularly believe this, but let's just say that the people in power want to create a society that works where everyone is contributing to society to create some sort of greater whole. There's no benefit to having, like, homeless people are on the strata of society where it's like they're not helping. They're not helping society grow. So like it doesn't benefit society to have a group of people who are not contributing.
I think that when you look at kind of, I mean, it's kind of like a modern untouchable caste in a lot of ways. When you look at people all the way down there dealing with all that, I think it's just hell. I think it's just capitalist hell. We use that as a threat to keep people moving on the treadmill. Like, it's working on me.
Okay.
Terrified about not making my mortgage, like I'm lucky to have a mortgage instead of rent. And I don't know. I'm not trying to say that we need to disenfranchise everyone who's earned their money, right? I'm just saying, like, there's some like pretty glaring feedback loops that are just like uncontrolled. Like I'm a DSP programmer. I think a lot in terms of, well, I gotta do like audio effects and like I have a synthesizer plug-in I programmed.
Okay.
Like, so I tend to look at systems like circuits, and it's just from a structural perspective, like even the fact that you're broadcasting on YouTube and not radio right now, that's regulatory capture. We like sold the radio to a bunch of private interests. It was a public asset, and it didn't used to have commercials. Like, everything that's like up for the taking always goes to the most powerful. It's really frustrating.
Well, dude, as much as I hate YouTube, we have to acknowledge that YouTube is a free platform, and I'm able to do this show without any commercials only because YouTube exists.
And that's a hugely important point too. Like, and to a degree, I guess this kind of comes full circle. Like, yeah, some inequality happens. Like, and maybe it's even like part of what moves us forward. Like, you can look at macroeconomics, and it's like, when a country is more unequal, it's more likely to have like a higher standard of living across the board. But there's a lot more going into that than just that simple measurement. And like, I don't know, just because that's how we are, I think that's how we have to always be.
Is your thought process here that it's like, it has to do with like we are a very wealthy country, and so we should be offering like avenues back, like reintegration avenues back into society for people who have like fallen down into this thing, or like what?
I mean, yeah, we should do that. We should offer people that option. But also, I don't think that you should have to be cut out to like exist in this cutthroat world and like tread water. I think that some people are just going to need some support, and that's okay. That's what you do for someone you care about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I've come from a pretty wealthy, privileged background early in my life. And, you know, I moved to Chicago and then out to Colorado. Spent a lot of time just being a wage slave too. And I've also had a lot of good luck and mixed with a lot of different people in my life. Like my neighbor used to be homeless. I talk to him about it all the time. Like, he also identifies as a vampire. That came off earlier. But anyway, like,
so then what would you say is your like personal experience with homelessness? Like, is it, you have
honestly,
a lot of, so go on.
Yeah, for me, like my personal experience of homelessness is not as someone who's been homeless. But I've known people who have been, and I guess there was a point in my life where I was actually kind of like, you know, like a little spooked when I saw someone, you know, going down the street yelling or, you know, just having a really hard time so bad it was hard to look at. Like when I was a kid, you know, when I was living in kind of a more well-to-do side of town and surrounding myself with people who were in the same boat, that stuff used to scare me a little bit. But now that I've been through a little bit and spent time getting to know people that, you know, I may have tried to stay away from when I was younger, like, I don't know, just sort of challenge my own biases, and it taught me a lot.
Well, I'll ask you this because I feel like you might be the right guy to ask. When I have experiences with homeless people, like there is a part of me that that is full of empathy, and it's just like, that is so horrible that someone's life could lead to this point, and I know that like anyone's life really could lead to this point if the circumstances like just lined up that way. There are things that are outside your control that can bring you to that point. But I still, you know, I have a sort of callousness where I just sort of see it and I'm just like, this is a problem. I don't know how to solve it, but like, I just don't even know. Like, it just seems like an unsolvable problem where it's just like because I'm also a big like personal. I'm also a big like personal responsibility guy, and so I think about like, you know, there are also choices that you make that either lead you to this point or keep you stuck in this cycle. And so it's really hard for me to think of like what could be a societal answer. Like what could we all do to make this problem go away? But like, what do you think about?
I mean, give people food and shelter. That's literally in like healthcare, you know.
But isn't there a part of that leads into that argument of enabling people, where it's like, if they're stuck in the cycle and then we're helping them stay in the cycle, like where's the difference?
You're not going to break someone out of a cycle of despair and self-hatred by depriving them further.
Okay.
Like, I'm sure you've been in a cycle of despair and self-hatred. Like we all have. Like, if someone came in and just kind of like kicked you a little bit and they weren't a friend of yours, and it wasn't like oh, get your ass up, I know who you are, you're better than this type of thing. If it was more like, get the fuck off my street, you're making it smell bad, like, you know, that would make it worse.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, but you know, that's me too. I'm probably kind of far to like an extreme on this sort of opinion. I'm not trying to say that my way of looking at this should be everyone's way. I'm just, you know, if we could just take the edge off of some of the absolute worst,
you
know, that our country does to people, like that'd be cool. Like if we could, like, I don't know, like Walmart moves to town. I work for Walmart. I got 3 stores in town, and they kind of drive everyone else out of business, pay crap. I'm hired on it full time. They knock my hours down to like 20 hours. It's, they do that enough. I will be homeless. Like, and I know that our stores are turning profits. Like, it's not like they're not making money. It's just they're not making enough money to be happy with satisfying an investor class. And I also worked a corporate job where I was, like, right now I'm a peon. I like it that way. But, like, I worked a corporate job where I was, like 2 levels of abstraction away from, like, the actual investor class. And, like, it's a firing squad. The whole mentality of a bunch of people voting to, like, oh, we're going to make this hard decision to cut all the peons' wages. Like, oh, we're so adult and mature for making these ends justify the means decisions together, pat each other on the back. It's fucked. Like, there's so much of that going on where people save their own skins and they're not even taking responsibility because they all collectively make the decision, like,
yeah.
And I don't know, it just goes all the way to the top. If you just stop that, like, if you don't assume infinite growth is required for everything.
And that's kind of a separate issue, is like corporations have grown to have so much power in this country. They probably don't even realize really that, like, when they make those decisions, they are eliminating options, so many options for millions of people.
Yeah, and all my coworkers are on EBT. Like, we're subsidizing Walmart's labor, and that's not just Walmart. I'm sure that's every major retailer at this point. Like, I mean, that's literally, like, if they paid me more, I would not be eligible.
Right.
Like, I don't know. It's just, again, weird feedback loop. It just seems like a well-designed technology to extract wealth and resources from individual towns. And then we're left with this problem, and we're told to point to people who are suffering. And it's they're born into a world that already has all these problems. It's not like they made it. Like, this has been around for generations. It's not like a kind of person that ends up homeless. It's just, it happens naturally. And some people, it's like the cop that pulls over the person that's going slowest. It's easier to catch.
All right. Well, Thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah. Have a great day.
Yeah, great day from you. Have a good one. All right. We're going to take another break here. Like I said, we're going till 5 PST, so we got another 45 minutes, but I wanted to do a couple quicker breaks here because we still got more music I want to listen to from Kylivadrat. Again, all the music is from Kylivadrat, so we're going to listen to some more of that now, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. All right. Okay, we are back. We're talking about homeless. Whoa. Click all these buttons. Okay, nice. Calling now, 518-288-7938. This is the last portion of the call-in show where you can call in and talk about homelessness, unhousedness, whatever term you're most comfortable talking about it with. You know what I'm saying. 518-288-7938. We got people there right now. Who's this?
Will.
Hello.
Oh, wow. Hey, I'm kind of nervous, but
That's okay. Who's this?
Long-time listener, some caller. This is Will.
Oh, Will.
Yeah.
Hey, good to hear from you, Will. We're talking about homeless today.
Yeah. No, I've been watching a stream. I've been hearing some other callers, which were absolutely infuriating.
Oh, yeah?
Homelessness is, yeah, because they try to blame it on immigration or drugs or whatever, and that's just not what causes homelessness. We do live on a finite planet, and there's not, eventually there's not going to be enough homes for everyone. And now I had to be homeless just for a few days, and it's possible I'll be homeless again soon. Who knows? But I also have a background in programming and shit, and I know that so many jobs are being taken by automation and that stuff, and there's other things making it absolutely worse.
Mm-hmm.
So
you would say people who are talking about homelessness on the stream today, they're maybe assuming the cause of homelessness too readily.
Yeah, I mean, there's one guy you had, I think the last guy you had before he went on break. He was a very big brain about this stuff, but some other people are just absolutely entitled and have no idea what's causing homelessness or even how they're personally contributing to it. And one guy mentioned corporate stuff, and there's the consolidation of everything, and that's kind of bad. But the city I grew up in, I grew up in a middle upper class family. We didn't have any, we didn't really have a homeless problem, and it was a government city. But eventually what happened is the city kind of became a huge paved parking lot, and it didn't have enough jobs for the growing population. It was filled with banks and churches, and really just because of the R1 zoning laws, everything needed a huge amount of parking spaces, and people then started getting accustomed to this lifestyle, and that has led to a bunch of other problems creating this homelessness. And yeah, sure, there can be some drugs that lead to homelessness, like meth and heroin. But I like cannabis, I like the mushrooms, I like all the plant stuff, right? I don't drink, but even a homeless person, they deserve to have a drink or a cigarette or a smoke every once in a while. So there's this whole mentality of just making it worse for them when we shouldn't be doing that.
So in your mind, maybe it's like homelessness comes from the top down and not from the bottom up?
Well, not really. There are things that the top can do to alleviate homelessness, but not 100% solve it. And sometimes people who are homeless, because some people are having difficulty understanding what homelessness is. Some people just move around from place to place. And personally, I had to do that just a few months ago. So I was living in an apartment in this city, which was lacking of jobs. People were shuffling in and out, and then leaving. And it's sort of a new generation. The city is not what it used to be 20 years ago. But I basically got I was renting with a company. The company was pretty decent, and they were just saying, okay, if you can't pay rent, we'll work with you. But then eventually what happened is some, asshole weaseled his way up the company and then started he was canvassing for people to torment, kick out, extort, whatever. And that just, he eventually found me and decided, hey, I'm going to take on this guy. and called the cops, and then I had to be homeless for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't great. It was obviously really stressful, and I might go back to that because I've pretty much spent all my money on this company that was taking way too much. And so, yeah, it does, in a sense, it can come from the top there, but then there's the problem of it is a finite planet. The infinite growth, it's not possible. And some people have this idea that we'll go to space and build homes there, and that it simply isn't going to happen. It's called space for a reason. Mm-hmm. So we kind of have to learn to live with one another. And I think you yourself, you told us stream, you want to be comfortable, right? And there's a comfort problem with having a problem around you. Do you know where do you feel that comes from?
I guess be a little more specific there. Like, I think I sort of understand what you're saying, but yeah, go on.
So you don't feel is it safe to assume you don't feel comfortable around the homeless?
When there is a very prevalent homeless population, it feels there is an uncomfortability there, because it's like, it sort of feels like we're living in two separate worlds, where like some of us are in society, we're more embedded in it, and we're following those rules, and then there's a separate society that is not really fully integrated. It's like they're not living as society tells us is normal or acceptable, and so there is an uncomfortability there of just like we can't feel like we're playing by the same rules.
I like what you're honing into, and this is a big problem, and it's a feeling that most of us feel. If someone is different, we just don't like that. We want to attack them. We want to do things to harm. We want to make sure they conform to what we want. And if they can't conform to that, well, that's their fault for being dumb or whatever, even if it's unfortunate. And if they don't want to conform to that, well, that's a big problem. They're a danger to society or something. So that's a feeling I'm not really happy about. But the reality, if some people, like myself, for instance, my whole life I've seen everyone else working so hard. 40 hours a week was the norm when I was younger. Now it's 3 jobs and 60 to 90 hours a week. And I've always known I just can't keep up with that 40 hours. There's no possible way I could keep up as more and more people add to the problem. And so, I've looked for ways to work less, but what's happened now is I have friends who are working these ridiculous hours, who are sort of living that working, sleeping, and they all work in parking lots pretty much. And when I say parking lot, it's an office building surrounded by a parking lot, so they don't see the sun. They're overworked and stressed, and they've confided in me so many times that they want to kill themselves, and it's just not cool to hear that. And it becomes a bit of a big problem that we're expecting everyone to live like that. And if you don't live like that, well, you'll go homeless, and that's what happened to me.
I think this is a very good point to raise, because we're talking about people who are homeless in the society that we are living in currently. And we talked about the addiction thing a lot, but there's also like there's a mental health thing that goes in there. It's like people are schizophrenic or experience a wide variety of mental health issues that they need to deal with, and our society does kind of like push those people aside. It's like, if you're really schizophrenic, you don't have a place in our society. I'm not saying that's correct. I'm saying that's just like kind of a thing that works. Is like, that's a truth about our reality, is like you can't be mentally ill in that way and also act as a fruitful, contributing citizen to our society because of the way that we have it structured right now. So there is there's a whole brainwave, there's a whole pattern of brain activity that is like, you're not useful to us, you're not going to be able to make it, you're going to be existing in the homeless category.
I'd agree with there, but where does it end? Because if you can decide, oh, hey, you're not useful to us, therefore you don't deserve anything. It's easy to go back to the olden days of slavery and racism, then just say, oh, hey, you don't look like me, so you don't deserve a place to live.
Or just murder, it's like, like in those ancient societies, they'd see a baby that it's like it's all deformed. It's like, all right, well, toss it off the cliff. Like, that's got no place. They clearly can't contribute to our society, so why don't we just dash them on the rocks?
Yeah, pretty much. And maybe in some ways it's helped some people get ahead over, say, the deformed baby's, family. But it's not the right thing to do, and this is the thing we're struggling with: is how do we make sure that society is helping people? And you also mentioned earlier you're hoping someone's going to call with all the answers. I don't have all the answers, and I've thought so much about this. Mm-hmm. But the best answers I can give have been sort of what I started off with. If we look at things that do cause homelessness, one of them is going to be fires, and not fires from a candle or electrical fire necessarily, but there's going to be wildfires, which is a big problem.
Or we were talking a little bit about Hurricane Katrina, like natural disasters.
Yeah, Hurricane Katrina, absolutely. And so we're doing a lot of things that are making these disasters happen, that make homelessness happen. Mm-hmm. We've been hearing recently there's the beef and dairy industry causing some of these disasters, but then there's the wars that we need, or the wars that have gotten us our petrol for our cars, which have led to 1 million dead Iraqis and a lot more homeless. So there's really just a lot of horrible shit that we're all contributing to, and we're all deciding the ideal is that we need to have 14 cars, we need to build massive parking lots and never see the light of day. And it all does serve the kind of person who wants to harm others, and it doesn't really serve society at large. So, I'd actually rather be surrounded by a lot of homeless people than I would rather be surrounded by a bunch of rich kids just looking for people to pick on.
So you think there is a something that contributes to homelessness is the idea of the individual like hoarding their possessions and wealth and taking too much for themselves?
A little bit, but the wastefulness aspect is going to be another one.
Okay.
Some of the things are actually a lot more simple, right? I do keep going back to cars, and it really is. It's something that people feel the need to have, that they can't live without it, and because it's a thing that brings them comfort, and maybe they've known it all their life. But it causes the wars that leads to homelessness. It causes the fires that lead to homelessness. And it makes the outdoors literally less safe for anyone else. So homelessness then becomes that much worse. And the only way to really live some of these lifestyles that most of us have grown up in is to support the system that's just stealing from people with the wars and stuff.
All right, well, hey, thank you for calling in. We appreciate your call.
No problem. And yeah, this is a heavy subject. And if anyone mentions like immigration or drugs or whatever, those people need a nice head bob. That's not causing homelessness.
All right.
Anyway, take care.
Good talking to you, man. Have a good one. All right, the number to call in, 518-288-7938. We're in the last section here of the homeless call-in show. Who's this?
Call from
David.
David, we're talking about homeless today.
Yes, yes. I think we should. So I do have the actual answer of how to
Thank
fix all
God.
this.
All right.
All right, so here it is. We need to take the homeless and we need to put them in an arena, and they'll just have to fight it out to the death to see who gets my my hard-earned resources.
Like, should it be televised? Is it how do we
Absolutely.
get to? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we got to capitalize off of it.
So it's kind of like the Superdome after Katrina, but if it was a reality show, also.
Exactly. It's like Hunger Games-esque, you know. I think people.
What's
people
the
will
end
tune
result
in.
of that? What's the end? What does the top homeless guy get? The person who kills everybody else in the arena. What does he get? He or she?
He gets they get first dibs on corners to panhandle. They get the best spot under the bridge to tent, and they won't have to worry so much about other homeless people taking their shit.
So really, the idea is that like the homeless problem should take care of itself through violence.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we could also watch it, and then we could monetize that, and maybe like the ad revenue from that goes towards the fund that helps the winners.
Yeah, sure.
That's not okay. I just added that part to your plan, but that's not necessary.
No.
Okay, great.
Like, there's not really a prize. It's just like there's not as many homeless people to compete with.
I mean, seems like a foolproof idea. I can't poke any holes in it off the top of my head.
Yeah, that means it's great. It's foolproof. The government will make a whole bunch of money, or whoever funds this thing. It's like people who want to watch, they'll watch it. You know, people who like the idea, and then people, even more so, people who hate the idea, they're absolutely going to tune in just so they can see, you know, what they don't, because it's interesting. You know,
right. The
they want to
outrage.
see the outrage. You know, you hate watch it.
It basically is the Hunger Games. They had their whole weird society where everyone is poor, but yeah, this is like sort of just saying
Exactly.
bring that into this.
Exactly.
With the poor. All right. Well, that's a great idea. Well, thank you for calling in.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Good to have that right after the most empathetic caller, is to have that solution. Who's this?
Call from
Christopher Hollis.
Okay, Christopher. We're talking about the homeless.
Hey, yeah, I have a homeless story.
Go for it.
My brother, who is my brother and I lived with for many years. I have other brothers and sisters, but he's the one who I know the most. He's been homeless for, let me puzzle it out here, I'd say 12 years.
Wow. What's that like? I mean, that's your brother?
Yeah, my only full-blooded sibling. I have two other sisters. I think I said two other brothers. I have one other brother.
Have you had to offer him a lot of support, or what's that relationship
No, we're
like?
not
I
on
guess.
speaking terms, I think.
Oh.
He doesn't like me. We don't talk.
Oh. Well, what's his
I'm making this
experience?
up, but
What do you know?
Well, okay, let me give you a little more juice. He has always been troubled. Have you heard of goats that faint?
Say it again.
Have you heard of goats, the animal, and how they can faint?
Yes.
Right. Well, that's because they have a disease called myotonia congenita. And human beings can also have that. Did you know that?
No.
Yes, and it's a neuromuscular disorder that people think that the goats are fainting. They're not actually fainting. What's happening is their muscles are tensing up all at once so that they lock up, and then you don't have any balance if your muscles are all locked up, right? He has that.
And how does that, like, what triggers that?
It's just like you're unlucky. You just are all fucked up from when you're a kid.
No, I mean, you're saying like it's a gene disorder, but like is there something that like makes that happen, that triggers the tensing
in
up?
the goat example, people run up and they go, ah, right, to the goats, and they go, ah, and they fall over. So people think they're scared of it fainting. It's kind of like, I guess, any too much sensory input, and you just, Now, it also happens in human beings when you just sit around too long, not using your muscles. They slowly tense up. And then we would ride in a car for a long time, or just really any time. You get out of the car, his muscles would be so tense he couldn't walk like a normal person. He looks like a mummy. So he'd stop and he'd like pretend to tie his shoes just to waste time trying to get his muscles, like fucking muscles, relax. Chill out. So he could walk. So he could walk upstairs. I attribute that as part of why he's always been fucked up and how he ended up homeless. But I guess that's a bit esoteric as an example. But I think it might be the case.
It's just that there are people, a person who has an extra difficult time integrating with society because they've got a disorder.
Yes. And he's like that. He's also a psycho asshole. Maybe that's unrelated, but he told me a story. I hadn't seen him in like 5-6 years. Here he is. And he's like, man, Chris, you don't understand. I'm so different. You wouldn't even understand how different I am. Every interaction we've ever had until now doesn't count. I've changed so much since the last time I saw you. I've been through so much. And I said, well, fair enough. I don't know you. I guess you've changed so much. I don't even know who you are. He said, don't call me by my name. Call me Red now. I'm like, you're Red. I'll just say you're Red now. You're a different guy. He's like, let me tell you a story. Okay, tell me a story. I'm a carny now. I've been a carny for not anymore. I lost my job. Here's how I lost my job. I was a carny. I helped assemble the rides and travel around the country. One day, a man pissed me off. He liked a girl that I liked, and I was doing better with the girl, and he was jealous. Yes, he was jealous. So one day, he confronts me. He gets physical with me. We struggle. He lands on my guitar by accident, my only possession, my special acoustic guitar, and he broke it. And what do you think happened next? How did he react? Well, first of all, before you give your input, the man came back the next day and said, I'm so sorry about what happened. That was a total mistake. That was a horrible thing.
Oh.
Let's have a truce. My mistake. What do you think happened next?
I mean, before I knew that, I was thinking it's a spur of the moment. Your brother went crazy and he attacked the guy, but he got told.
That part of the story.
What?
That was the end of that part of the story. The next day they had a truce. So, like, I just mean like there wasn't more. Like, in that same night he didn't kill him or anything, but they had a truce.
Okay.
Then what?
Nothing happened.
False. Incorrect.
Oh.
Bad guess. Instead of nothing happening, the story got better. He waited. He took the truce. He said, yes, oh, yes, that's fine. Shook his hand. In his mind, he's thinking, I'm going to get this guy. The way that he got him was that guy was working on one of the rides, standing under it, doing some sort of maintenance, some sort of hanging metal piece. He didn't get specifics, so I couldn't really relay it, but he pulled a piece, a pen, something that held the ride together so that 1,000 pounds or so, maybe less, of machinery came down on the guy's head. The guy laid bloodied on the ground. He just wasn't dead. And the boss called him in. And the way that my brother told the story, the boss was totally on his side, totally understood. Oh, yes, I understand how you could be so upset and how that could happen. But, you know, my hands are tied here. You broke the rules of society, common sense, morality, I don't know. Broke a rule, so you're fired now. And he told that story not as, here's an insane thing I did, and I'd never do that again. It was just an anecdote. That's the kind of thing my brother would do if you accidentally flopped onto his guitar.
So is the overall point here that some people are completely psycho and beyond help? What is the overall point here that you're making?
What's the takeaway?
Yeah.
Don't ever, in 1,000 years, stand under a machine while a redheaded man is working on it.
All right. Thank you so
Very
much
nice
for
to meet you.
calling in.
Welcome, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, dude.
You too. Bye-bye.
You know, we've all thought that. We've all had that moment. It's like, did I piss off a guy who's going to try to murder me? I said sorry, but that wasn't enough. Hey, sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes you got to really go for it. You got to really say sorry. But murder? Attempted murder?
Call from
Kale, John.
Hello?
Hey.
Yo, we're talking homeless today. Who's this?
Kale Johnson.
All right, nice to talk to you. We're talking about homeless. What do you got to say?
Yeah, I've got two main things I want to say.
Okay.
First off, we probably need to tax landlords more. Like, I'm a capitalist, but I still think we should tax them more just because they're basically getting free money. That'll help drive prices down, drive people down from holding on to houses and stuff. That's the easy opinion.
Okay.
Okay, and secondly, I think the projects were a good idea and we should do them again.
More projects?
Like the American Housing Projects, you know, how they built a ton of crap in the 80s or whatever. And then they all got infected with crime and came bad parts of cities.
What's going to make that work this time around?
I'm saying is it worked that time because, you know, it gave everyone a house and put all the crime and everything in one location instead of having it all spread around where it causes problems for everybody.
Okay.
Like this way, it brings houses down, puts everything in one place. That way people who kind of get down on their work and need a second thought, they have a place to go. It's not a good place, but have a place to go, have a roof over their head so they can get back on their feet.
So there should be a designated area. It's like you're down, you go here, you figure your shit out, and then you leave.
Not kind of like designated, but kind of, yeah, like you just like have the government come in and build like a bunch of big old, basically commie block buildings, you know, with maybe some food banks and stuff around. That way, there's a place where it gets contained. You know where to target like the charity and stuff, and people they have roof over their heads. They're not freezing in the streets or causing problems. You know.
Yeah.
And also,
that's what
if you have a house, yeah, go ahead.
Just that's what you thought. Like you see these people spread out all over the place. Think it'd be better if they had a location to go to where they can.
Yeah. Yeah, not just like a location, like, you know, housing, some like resources in the area, you know, that kind of stuff, like
yeah,
to help people out. Yeah, and also that'll help, like, also it might help like bring like housing prices down lower for the entire surrounding area, just having that free housing there.
Yeah, I mean, have you what's your personal experience with homelessness? Like, if you come across people and you think like that's your mindset. I was like, I wish there was a place where these people actually had a shelter, or like, what do you think when you come across homeless people?
I think I wish there was a way I could help them. I wish, you know, there's a way to have a house. Like, I think it needs to be like a permanent house because, like, you know, you got the Salvation Army, they have shelters, but, you know, you get kicked out. It's not constant. You don't know if you're going to have a place at the night. So people need places that are constant. They need stuff they can rely on so they can kind of get their life back together, you know?
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's anything to the argument that's like giving these things away to people like will help them continue their lifestyle, that they're in this cycle of homelessness, like that they're after drugs or alcohol or something? Like, do you think there's something to that where it's like the more we give, the more easy it is to continue that lifestyle, or what?
I think there's some valid points there. I think like people who are going to be homeless because of mental illness, because of drugs, they're going to be mental illness and drugs anyways. This puts them in one place. And for the people that don't want to be homeless, they have kind of a roof over their head, they don't freeze, and they get to be back on their feet. And also, they keep them from freezing on the street, so it saves the city money. You don't have to send police all over the place every night checking on things. Don't have too much. It keeps everything kind of controlled, so it saves money for the city, for the government, for taxpayers, whatever.
Yeah,
and
I
also,
gotcha.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, no problem. You have a good one.
All right, you too. Maybe that is a solution. Find a place. You know, maybe it's an island. Maybe there's a boat, there's a ferry. It's like Pleasure Island in Pinocchio. There's like a ferry that takes you over there, and it's just this place where you smash the shit out of whatever you want, have a great time, but then ultimately they'll take you away to the labor camps.
Call from.
Hello?
Hey.
Yo, who's this?
Mark Newman.
Nice. We're talking about homeless today.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well, I would say, thankfully, I never had to been homeless. I've never been homeless before, thankfully.
Yeah.
But I do feel homeless right now, kind of.
What do you mean?
Basically, I'm seeing someone an hour away from me. My school I go to is a half an hour away. So basically, I'm like driving everywhere all the fucking time. Can I say that? Can I say fucking?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, that's cool. But yeah, fucking, I'm driving fucking everywhere. And it's a lot, honestly. You know, I always had a fantasy of kind of like being a person who wanders around, but it takes a toll after a while, to be honest. Can't really, you have like no routine or anything.
What is it about not having like, do you have a place that is your home base, or are you saying like you go between two home bases, or sorry, go on.
Yeah, you could say I have two home bases, but like I primarily have one home base. But like, so even then, it's a lot. It's a lot when you're commuting like, everywhere all the time. Like you remember, it feels like you sleep here, you eat here, you sit here, and you move, and you do it again, and do it again, and do it again.
Like you don't feel like you have a place really that is like your main place. You're traveling between.
Yeah, basically. And, you know, it's kind of like one of those things where I think people on the interwebs and stuff like that, they kind of romanticize the idea of being like a nomad or whatever. But, man, it doesn't take that long for you to kind of realize how much it kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, what's your experience with that? Like, how do you feel about having to live the life the way that you are?
I feel drained, honestly. You know, I don't understand. Driving takes a lot of mental capacity to like while you're driving and all that. And for me, I definitely feel the effects afterwards. You know, like I would drive somewhere for 30 to an hour minutes. I get there, I do my stuff. I'm like still in the mindset of like when you're driving intense traffic. You know, I'm trying to like have a conversation with someone. I can't like focus at all what they're saying. It's tiresome, to be honest.
What do you think then? Because that's a specific version of what we're talking about. What about your experiences with homeless people who, you know, they're without a car, the people who are on the street? Like, what is your opinion, your feeling on that?
My feeling, I guess, to relate it to my situation in some capacity, is to think how absolutely anxious they must be at the idea that even if they try to hold down the base at any moment, they can be removed either at times, you know. I remember seeing videos of like camps and all that in like different states, and they'll just go and tell them to like move their shit or to demolish it. That's what they do.
All right.
I think they're kind of trying to battle against the whole nomad picture thing, you know, as hard as they can, but like they just can't. It's sad.
But you're also saying that like being a nomad isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, I think so. I think people don't realize, you know, I guess if you want to reduct it down, you know, which is dangerous to do, but if you want to reduct it down, you kind of say that humans are nothing more but habits, you know, what Aristotle said. And I think in routines are habits. So in some sense, when you don't really have a routine, like where you stay or home, you kind of, it's very easy to disorganize, become kind of like a mental mess in some sense, you know?
Mm-hmm. So even if you weren't in the addiction cycle, which is a sort of thing that we see a lot in homelessness, it's still like the routine that you're settling into is a routine of living this specific lifestyle. It's hard to break out of.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I can definitely see how the like drug use could become a crutch for the fact that you don't really have a home. You know, it's very easy to kind of like throw tomorrow by the wayside when you are really only thinking about like right now and how you're going to get to where you're going right now.
Right. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
that's my
yeah. Sorry. Go on.
No, that's it. That's all I got to say, really. I'm looking at the experience of homelessness, so I don't really know how it's truly like. I only know a little bit about nomadism. That's about it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in.
Hell yeah, buddy. Keep the show going. I love it, man. Thanks.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. That's going to be the show for today. You know, we talked a lot about this, you know, whatever. I don't know. We didn't solve the homeless problem, but that's okay. It's a interesting thing to think about. I have no interesting closing thoughts, however, so I'm not going to even try. I'm just going to say you can sign up for chunkmonthly.gumroad.com. That's a service we're doing where you can pay $10 a month and you'll get a piece of physical media in the mail every month. Always something from an independent artist, comics, zines, CDs. We do all that shit. If you go to chunkmonthly.gumroad.com, just put your email in the subscribe thing. You don't even have to pay, and you can get information on what we're doing with Chunk in the meantime. But if you do sign up for chunkmonthly.gumroad.com, pay $10 a month, you will get interesting physical media in the mail every month. Thank you to everyone who called in. All the music from the stream has been from Kylivadrat, and the link to all the music that I've played on the stream is in the description of this video. So we're just going to play one more little bit here, and then that's it. Thank you to everyone who called in. Good to hear from you. We'll be doing a call-in show the next week or so. Try to do this as often as possible. All right. Have a good night.